gentlemen.
Here we are.
Here we are. How y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Good.
Yeah, we got a full house today.
First time four.
First time. Technically the third time Jordan's been here, but really only the second as far as what we released. we recorded this brilliant 3-hour episode with Jordan, and we were just flying. And our audio got just jacked somehow. And so we had to redo it.
Oh, no.
And, I set out to be like, all right, we're going to try to capture that same thing. And it turned into something completely different.
Yeah.
That moment was gone.
Yep. I've had this happen. I did a podcast with a friend of mine from the UK. So we did it over Zoom. And it was the first one he'd ever recorded. So the next day he's like, man, I've had to edit out myself. He had to edit something just thousands of times. He goes, is there any way we can just redo it? I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to have the same spark, but we can try to recreate it. So the next day we tried, and it went, and it turned out fine.
Yeah, man, of course, dude. And no matter what would have happened, it would have ended up being fine.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how we roll. So, all right, man. So today's a little different. We've wanted to have Frank on for some time. Frank comes to us from Decatur, Illinois.
Yep.
And most people, at least in my circle, know Frank as Frank Oakwood. His what do they call it? His moniker?
Yeah.
Right? It's your stage name.
The Instagram handle that everybody has to memorize now.
Right. So you are officially, your last name is now officially Oakwood,
Oakwood
to everybody. And, but it's not, it's Whittington, right?
Yep.
And so I met Frank via the tattoo industry. We met, I believe, at Tattoo the Lou or the St. Louis Classic.
I was trying to remember how long ago it's been, but
4 years, 4 or 5, something like that, Jordan.
Probably 4, I would say.
yeah,
Something like that.
right.
Longer.
Yeah. So we just hit it off, man. Sometimes with Jordan or with Jeff, I think we can all attest that when you know that somebody would fit in your circle, if you had a real circle, you just know it.
Sure.
Right. And so I hope you don't mind me saying that I've always felt that way about you.
One bit.
Okay. And so anytime we've ever had a connection that had to do with business, it always really was more personal, just so we could hang out and bullshit, That's always been my MO. Like, if there's business to be had, it'll happen naturally. But let's wait until after we can see if we get along and like each other.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good way to interact. But so anyway, we've maintained a relationship, but mostly online here and there. And I've been following Frank, and Frank is, he's not the same Frank that I knew from 4 or 5 years ago.
And I'm grateful for it.
You are a different man, brother.
Evolving.
And I've watched from afar, and I've sort of just sat back in and absorbed it and wanted to make sure that it was the real time, because all too often you see people glimmering these kinds of realizations, but then the next time you see them, they're 100 miles an hour, exactly like they were.
Sure.
So you never went back.
No.
And
no intention of it either.
right. And we'll get into some of those changes.
Yeah.
But for now, Frank, thank you for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
We are fucking stoked to have you.
I'm excited.
Right on, man. And I would be remiss if I didn't reintroduce our man Jordan, Mr. McCreary. How you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back, man.
Always a pleasure.
You're technically a regular now.
Third time's a charm.
Third timer.
Yeah, I feel like somebody's sitting in Norm's chair over here or something, But anyway, man, thanks for joining us, man.
Always good.
Yeah, we invited Jordan to come over because Jordan also has history with Frank because of the Barrel Brands family, because of the tattoo expos and whatnot. Jordan has gone as far as we've traveled to see Frank on a couple different occasions there in Decatur. Hour and a half from us here.
Yep.
And, it's always a great drive to go see Frank. We say that. Dude,
Breakfast in Decatur is worth the trip.
we have said that.
Some good places.
We have said it more than 2 or 3 occasions, but we've only made it there on 2 or 3 occasions.
Yeah, and you're welcome anytime.
Yeah. Did that restaurant ever open back up?
They did not. It's been opened up as a new restaurant since then.
Is it the same kind of shenanigans?
Nope. It's totally different. I haven't even been in there since then.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it lost all of its sparkle.
It was I'm going to say grimy, but not as in a physical way. It was grimy in a feeling. Like it had a feeling of like just fucking like basic training. Like look at your food and
Just
eat
keep your
it
head
and get the
down.
fuck out of here.
Don't look at your phone.
Do not look at your. Oh, fuck! Your phone's gone. He broke your phone.
My wife worked there at one time, so it's fun to tell her stories about how people would come into town to go eat there, but it wasn't to eat there because the food was good. It was just to see what was going to happen and who was going to get yelled at for what.
It was the Blue Spoon.
The Blue Spoon is what it was called.
And this place was a little famous, at least here locally in the Midwest. And it was, I would liken it to like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
You know, like he had his ways and like they were posted, like there were rules and you followed them. Like
Lots of them.
And man, if it even said, if you're in line and I tell you that that's the end of the line, that's what it fucking means. You're done. You don't get no food, man. I'm reading this shit. And I'm like, I love this guy. He's my human.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I was his dog right now. It's fucking amazing in Decatur,
The
Illinois.
old Blue Spoon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. What a great fucking memory that I've got of that place because of you and you. Thank you guys for that.
And you're welcome.
Yeah, man. We must have been, I don't know, we must have stood out like a sore dick in that place that morning because we were hooting and hollering high as shit. But just having a wonderful fucking good, energetic time.
Yeah.
And that's how it's always been with Frank. You know,
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad I could bring something to the table.
Absolutely, man.
Your energy always was everybody. You was like a little local celebrity. Like everybody be like, "Hey, man, look at this!"
Well,
Like
it's
they get
easy
a
to be a
tattoo
big fish
and they'd
in a
want to
small
show
pond.
you and be like, "Oh," and it's like, "Oh, you didn't do that." And they're like, "Look at my new tattoo." And it's like, cool. You know, they were so proud to show you something. Like
yeah.
and it was like, cool, man. They'd say, "Hi, how you doing?" And I was like, "Dude, this is great." Like everybody, like, because you're genuinely a nice person, people were like, "Hey," they attract to that, and it kind of showed. Like we would go out and it was like, "Oh, who's that?" And it's like, I don't even really remember. Like, you know, and people come up and it's like they're all over, man. It's great.
Dude, you know, it's funny because everybody hears about Frank before they meet him. I'm not sure if anybody's ever just met Frank by happenstance. Everybody has to have heard of. It's like somebody saying, "I've never heard of fucking Santa Claus." Like, at least in our circles,
wasn't there a sticker though? It's like, who the hell is little? So that would at least like help make it a little
around,
infamous.
Yeah. And I mean, what? Okay, so we'll go back, and I didn't know this until I went looking, but just a little prick.
Yeah.
What a fucking name.
Yeah.
What a brilliant fucking name for a tattoo studio.
So the name, at the time, it was just supposed to be a joke. My mom and I were literally like, I don't know what I'm going to... And all I did at that time was body piercing. I wasn't tattooing then. So I was 22 and just getting ready to venture out and get out of the factories. So she's like, well, what does it feel like? I'm like, oh, it's just a little... I mean, it's literally just a little prick. And then it's over.
Yeah.
And so both of us just kind of looked at each other, blank-eyed. I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
And it stuck.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the coolest fucking name.
That company is still open, which I don't have anything to do with it.
Right,
currently,
yeah,
but
yeah.
It's still open and does very well. And
Yeah,
still
yeah.
the same location. And
Yeah, I just brought it up because I think it's one of the coolest puns or
Yeah.
plays on words that I've ever heard.
I was fortunate in the time that I had it. Nobody else latched onto it and
like threw a lot of money at it.
claimed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and took that. So I was able to ride it out until I didn't need to anymore.
Hell yeah, man.
So it worked out great.
Good for you. That's right. Yeah, I came across that and I thought, oh my God, this is genius. Like, it's just the coolest name ever. But anyway, man, I know every time that we've ever been a part of one of LT Wood's, shows, which are always fucking outstanding, tip of the hat to LT and his crew. Every time that we were there, we always made a deal with ourselves. Like, hey, we have to set some time aside to go find Frank.
Yeah.
And it was always, I don't know. It was almost like we were just like, hey, it's time to go find our people now and get away from these other people that aren't our people. And it was very fucking inclusive. It was like, no, don't look in the eye. You don't look at anybody. You go walk straight. Where are you guys going? Fuck you. We're going to find Frank and we're going to smoke a joint and we are going to fucking leave this place for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And it was always well worth the indignity or fucking brashness or whatever it came across to get there, right?
I got to do a couple like food tattoos.
Yeah,
for
I was going
something
to bring
you
that
guys-
up. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
I was so thrilled that I got like. There's a lot of really talented artist, and I
Yeah.
got to be the one to do those. And I was
And
always
there's
like,
2 different restaurants in St. Louis gave away kind of a free tattoo.
Let's give 'em a shout
and
out.
Sponsorship, yeah, Yoklore and Grace Meeting 3.
Yeah.
Fried chicken tattoo and a breakfast tattoo.
yeah. I just
like,
found those
good.
stencils the other day, and when you dig through old boxes you haven't been through in a while. I remember that thing. And,
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
And you were super flexible too. It was like a food tattoo. It wasn't really, and the people showed up and were like, no, I don't want a logo. And it was like, yeah, you don't have to do a logo. Just do something fun. And they're like, so now they have this like really cool, like the guy really likes brunch. He likes to go to Yoklore. And
Right.
now he's got it, man. He is solidified. Like he knows about that story. And those people were stoked, man. Right? Like they were like, hell yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
well, these were people that
the
were genuine.
experience.
They were genuinely fans before. Like they were
Yeah.
like really cool people.
Yeah, I had great experiences tattooing them. So hopefully they still have them.
Yeah, and for obviously a lot of people don't know the story, and we'll go back a little bit, a little digression. Jordan came up with the idea. He's like, man, we should fucking see if these food sponsors. We put on first and foremost, we put on an artist lounge for a few years while at the tail end of Barrel Brands, where we would feed the artist with local cuisine, local snacks. And booze and whatever, it all showed up there. It was just a great place to be. So these food vendors would take care of the artists at usually free of charge, until they couldn't anymore, until the pandemic hit. And so anyway, long story short, we wanted to shine a light on them. And at a tattoo expo, what better fucking way to shine a light on a food vendor that's really made things possible than to tattoo their logo on somebody's body? It was fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
so
it's
kudos
great.
to you, man, because that was all you. And so the folks at Yoklore and fucking Grace, like, if anybody from there ever hears us, thank you, along with David from Beast and anybody else that may have ever given. Those moments were they gave so much to us because it was tangible. When someone walked in the room and the artist was like, holy shit, look at this spread. It was like, fuck a bump, dude. We fucking did this, right?
Right.
And it was just to do it. It was because we knew it would make a lot of people happy. It would shine a good positive light on our company. And at the end of the day, we would form good relationships that would last as friendships, more so than any business that was ever conducted.
Right.
And I think that speaks to you and our relationship.
Right. Yeah, and our friendship has definitely superseded our businesses.
Oh, of course, dude.
So it's
Yeah.
going to continue to go on.
I believe
And,
so.
and we'll probably watch each other start several businesses in the span of our friendship in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Of some variant, right?
Sure.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. I'll just say that now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeremy says he's retired, but I think he'll be bored before long.
Man, bored. I haven't found a day that I've been bored yet, but I'll tire out at some point.
Sure. Or get
2021 is
remotivated.
almost over.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2022.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like I'll admit it. Today I burnt the candle at both ends, and I had to say, "Hey guys, I need an extra hour."
Sure.
But the old me would not have said that. You guys would have showed up, and I would have been sweating and pissed off and late, and then still had to set everything up. That's how it would have happened. Because I would have gotten lost doing something that morning, right? But now it's like, okay, you know what you're doing. You're not going to go take a shower. You're not going to do this. You're just going to go fucking straight to work.
Right.
And it was cool. It was so much more relaxing to be able to do that and not put yourself behind the 8 ball every time.
I agree.
Something in the air. Wouldn't you say?
I would.
Yeah.
I say it's going around.
I think it is. We were talking about this on the back porch, and I'm glad we saved it.
Yeah.
We're in our 40s. We're both in our mid 40s. Jeff, you're late. You just turned
I'll be 38
38
next month.
Okay. And Jordan,
35.
35. All right. So we're all there. Would we all agree that we know a lot more people as of late that seem to be trying to pull their head out of their ass?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I often get lost in the anger or the fear or the emotion of the moment, and I don't stop and think, wait a minute, there's a lot more people that are sort of part of that tribe than what I think I was giving credit.
People realigned what was important to them. I mean, it's like, oh, the world's going to end. There's a global, all these things that, the new whatever, but everybody, you can't go anywhere. The businesses are closed. It's okay. You have to really realign what's important. Like, do you really want to get up and go to fucking work every day from 8 to 5?
Right.
So that you
like a
can
new
have a
awakening.
paycheck that like, no, maybe I'd rather do this. Like, so
Right.
go do it.
Yeah.
Like like you said, I mean, 10 years ago when I graduated college and was like, no, I'm going to work from the computer. People are like, you're really crazy. That's really dumb. You shouldn't do that. You should get a real job. You should. A lot of things people said, but now they're like, "Oh, that's so cool! You do that."
But yeah,
I want to do that,
you're
man.
not the
And
crazy
don't
one, 'cause
you do that?
that's-
I'm like,
that's
yeah,
the
I do.
norm
Yeah,
now.
I'm like,
Like-
and now you're a little behind the 8 ball. You are, because like all those years where you could have been like, "Hey, one day a week, I can do all my work from home." I don't know how many people tell me they're like, "I get more done at home than I do with." I'm like, of course, you have
Yeah.
less distractions,
Yeah.
and like you need to get this done. Like,
Yeah.
is your job ever done? Like, 'cause I guess if you get off at 5 every day, your work is done. It's not, the work's never done.
Yeah.
There's always
No.
something to do the next day because
You
you're gonna
just
pick
hit
it up.
pause.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just have to learn to be like, I did what work I could do today, and tomorrow there will be something else, and I'll pick it up and we'll work on that. And you stay in motion, but you balance it. It can't be this like, oh, I just so tired and I don't have enough hours in the day. Everybody has 24 hours in a day, and some people are super successful with the shit they do, and they don't have to be rich with money to achieve that and have 100 personal assistants or anything. They just are good at managing their time and value what's important to them.
Yeah, they're probably just as good at managing their time, and maybe even more so at saying no and having boundaries. Like, hey, listen, you got to stay the fuck away from me for the next 3 hours because my job today is doing X, Y, and Z. And if I talk to you right now, I can't do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And then you have to have somebody as an employee or an employer or spouse or kid that you're doing this, and they have to be an antenna and receive that. They can't be a wall and deflect it back at you.
Right.
Right? But if they do, here we go again. All right, now it's tennis. I'm just going to absorb it every time
Right.
and let you keep fucking throwing it at me. And eventually you're going to go,
Yeah.
what the fuck did I just do? And you're going to go, oh, what the fuck is going on? And then it's going to suck. Then you're going to realize you're an asshole. And
You're in a cycle.
you're in a cycle.
So the circle starts to spin too much, and it gets loose and goes out of control.
Yeah,
and
man.
Yeah.
It starts spinning itself. And all of a sudden you just become a part of your cycle. You're not the main thing. The main
You're in a
thing.
wheel.
You're on autopilot at that point.
Bro, yes.
Yeah, you're just kind of sleepwalking through life. And that's where I was for years. And
Yeah.
It just took me forever to figure out and pinpoint when that happened, what steps I took to make that happen, become,
Well,
acknowledge them and then become accountable for them, forgive myself for them, and move on.
Well,
And
yeah.
once I started making those steps, and I do those steps every single day, well, then you start creating balance. So you're not constantly hitting, the turbulent side of that cycle all the time.
Right.
You can actually kind of coast through it and understand.
It says my buddy, my one of my music instructor, my bass teacher tells me, he says learning to play bass is like learning to walk. He said if you try to put your left foot ahead twice and your right foot once, and then your right foot goes 3 times, and your left it's just not going to work. You have to learn how to do one thing, then the other, one thing. And that's how this is. You get knocked down to such a fucking level that some people would call rock bottom, but that's different for everyone because that's perspective.
That's perspective.
So whatever your rock bottom was, I found mine. Frank, you've obviously found yours.
Yep.
Right. I think that when you do that, as we said out on the back porch, the moments that you fall out of that place are fewer and farther in between.
Right. It was a shorter period of that time.
Yes, but it's only like that if every day your intention is to set out to do those things.
Sure.
You can't just wake up and be like, well, what are you going to do? Oh, fuck, I don't know, man. I can do something today. Turn on the TV, I guess. Get lost on Facebook.
Yep.
No.
And the autopilot kicks in.
And for me, I had to re-engineer that those habits. I will be up at 5 or 6 a.m.
Right.
I will be on the treadmill walking.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have to become the master of your own destiny. You're not, somebody else will.
Yeah,
It doesn't
man.
mean you have
continue.
to be like at a schedule to a T.
Oh no,
You have to be in
no.
charge of your time.
Well,
Just-
I would say at first, when you're going through this the sea change, if you will, you do have to be so regimented and scheduled. But as you learn, like, oh, all right, this ain't even stressful no more.
Right.
Then yeah, you're right. Then you're like, I fucking missed meditation today. It's all good, dude. I didn't
Just
freak out.
balance it and be like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this or that, because sometimes people are like, well, I don't have enough time to schedule. It's like, don't schedule your whole fucking day.
Right.
Like, there is a balance. You can. I mean, everyone does.
Yeah,
and
you're gonna leave
should.
time for like an
There's
overlap. Something
certain
gets
things, but you
a
need
little
to.
out of hand. It's not possible.
There's always something that's gonna come up, and that's inherent. That's life. We've all made it this far, but like, you don't really know what tomorrow brings. We got an idea.
Bro, think,
Weird shit.
Just think if you
something
could-
will happen that you didn't expect. 100%, guaranteed.
Think if you could look at your brain like on your calendar on your phone, right? Just hang with me for a second. So you're on your calendar and you're looking at your brain. Every event is overlapping every other event, and every event is overlapping another event. And it's muddy. You can't even make the lines out. That's how you live. That's how your calendar looks. But when you step back from that and you get out of that cycle and you make new healthy cycles, like Frank said, all of a sudden, I don't know, man, everything fucking changes. Everything slows down. Everything becomes illuminated.
Right.
Just like that movie said, everything becomes illuminated.
Well, I think
you
you also
have
have a little
to-
bit more relativity to it as well. Like you've seen both sides of the fence at that point. You've taken time to explore both sides. So you have a better understanding of where your moderation lies, where your balance and harmonies, settles
Yeah, everybody
in.
needs to find that.
So it
because you
becomes
can listen
much
to
easier.
guidance from other people and books, but you need to find some of that on your, and that's very important. I
Right.
think is finding what works for you.
Yes. Yes. And that is taking and trying yoga or trying meditation or trying long walks in the woods. You cannot and you will never succeed if you are that person that just says, well, I don't like that.
Yeah, you got to be one of
Motherfucker,
those
you didn't
people to
wrong. You didn't like
take
that.
something like if you got that inner circle of friends, ask them, what do you all do that helps bring you like peace or calm? Okay, you like to meditate, you read, you do this, you whatever, draw. Cool. I can't draw with shit, but maybe that somehow relaxes me if I try it. Like you have to try these things because if it's not a common thing you're used to, how will you know what works?
And then you get in that echo chamber. You're like, well, I don't like that. Like, why don't you?
yeah.
I'm not good at it. And it's like, says who?
No
and
one was
honestly,
good at anything when they
that's what I
started.
learned
As
about
we
like
first
playing
talked
golf.
about that.
Is like the only person who cares that you're good at golf is you. No one else gives a shit.
No,
No one. And if you try and tell them you're good, they're going to tell you how they're better.
Yeah.
Or like even
Yeah.
lie about me just to sound a little better than they are, because like they don't care about you. So like when people are like, well, I'm not very good at that, and it's like it doesn't matter. Like I think it's fun because you go hang out outside for 4 hours and
That's-
cruise around on golf carts, and it's like
How
hang out
about-
in the woods
That-
basically. and
that
it's
would
like,
be
this is
my
nice.
thing, is like-
somebody did the lawn today. This is great.
I tell people if I'm going to play golf, like, oh, you like golf? No, I haven't played probably in a decade.
Yeah.
But to be outside, hopefully you're in a wooded course.
Yeah.
You get to cruise on some carts. And there's,
worse ways to spend your day. I
2 or
promise.
4 hours of your day that you could put the phone away and just enjoy whomever you're with, or if you want played by yourself, whatever.
Just be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a golfer. My patience is too slow, but
But
it's
that's
one of those
that's
things
that's
that,
why
like,
you should be a
Yeah.
golfer.
it's an expensive,
Haven't you learned anything here,
it's an
Jeff?
expensive sport.
Fuck, I'm done. Turn these cameras off. We're fucking out of here.
Walk. Just walk. It's slower.
Listen, we talked about this before. It's I don't like being in crowds, but I'm cool with fucking being in crowds in my car doing 70 miles an hour, right?
Yeah,
It's
we talked about that, like last week or the week before, yeah.
Yeah, we fucking do that. We do these things. We set up these areas that it's safe to do this kind of behavior here, but you can't imagine doing it over here.
Right.
For some reason, you don't put the two together. They're like two alternate dimensions or something. It's almost like we really are living every instance of our life at the same time. It's just which one do we fucking put our finger and stop the wheel?
Absolutely. I mean, the view when you're driving that car is much different looking out the front window as opposed to looking out your side window while you're driving.
Yeah.
That's two different perspectives.
Dude, we
one
just talked
body.
about that last week on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or while you're driving and you completely space out and lose 20 miles of distance, where did that go?
Yeah. What have I been doing?
You were literally in two places at one time, living in two totally different dimensions in reality.
I think, and you know what? Here's let me know what you guys think about this. So deja vu, we've all had this, right? What if at night you dream, and that dreaming is preparation for the next day? It's a debrief of the day before. It's a cataloging of everything you took in, right? That's when you sleep. That's when the organization happens and the preparation for the next day. The next day, when you have a moment of like, fuck, where'd that come from? I fucking know this. I know the next step. it's because that was in part of your preparation.
Like Frank, it's the conscious or in the subconscious. Like you are two different. Like you're conscious about it, or you're subconscious. Like when you're sleeping, your brain doesn't just stop.
Yeah.
Just learn.
Tell your brain's like, ooh, like fucking.
Yeah, you know, like so, and people are like, what were you dreaming? It's like, yeah, the things you dream about are what you're thinking about. So when people are like, oh, you can manifest things, yes, if you maybe obsess about it, or you can be super anxious and you kept yourself up because I had a dream. The worst thing happened. It's like, really, did the very worst thing? Oh yeah, this worst scenario possible. And it's like, you even really think that's fucking like it's not even realistic. Like that's in a fucking dream because it's not even gonna happen. Like there's no possible way that is the outcome. There's a lot of outcomes. There's like 99 outcomes of any scenario, I would say, but that's not one of them. Because it's the subconscious.
It's
like
just a cool
you thought
story.
about it, you know, and like do they overlap 100%?
Oh, that's
and
why
they connect.
That's why you have to be like the truth seeker. You have to be able to say, okay, in every conversation, every interaction that I can cognitively force myself to do it, I have to see their truth, the other person's truth, my truth, and then the fucking truth.
Everyone thinks they're right. No one says anything and thinks they're wrong.
And all of them are overlapping, as you're saying. You got all these circles, and then you take that center part and go, I will take from what you said, the outside factor, and I will pull it into that center, and that will become the reality aspect or truth.
Totally, man. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You are literally making your own path. You're forging your own path. It's exactly what they said you had to do.
Yeah.
But when they said, buddy, you got to make your own way, your head went way back to kindergarten and fucking middle school and driver's ed and how you fucked up here. And oh, God, I don't know if I'm fucking worthy of all this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm your fucking man.
Right.
You go way back, and you don't have to. You don't have to. You just fucking sit here and take it. Just accept it for what it is. It's amazing how we do that. Like, it's so fucking nuts. And it's no different for Jeff or for you or for you or for me. The only difference is what you do with it externally. You know? And golly, man, you go out there right now while you still can and watch Human Interaction 101. People need to go back to class.
It's interesting to watch with a different perspective of what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? When I just look at a sea of people and how they act and interact, it's much different now than when I was in the sea of people acting and interacting. You know what I mean? Because I removed myself from it, so I can look at it objectively without any kind of emotional attachment to whatever's happening out there.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of freedom in that.
There is.
Alone.
Yeah, and the thoughts of like, man, I wonder what my friends are going to think are all just like a thought and meditation. You can watch it unravel because it dissipates and it disappears just like the care that you give to that. I don't fucking care. That's not on me. If somebody doesn't like something I'm doing, why do I have to go prove to them that I fucking need their approval?
Sure.
I don't. That's unhealthy. But we've all learned to do that from very, very young. You know,
well, most people seek outside approval
if you want
to solidify and justify what they're doing versus realizing I'm doing this for myself for X, Y, Z. But that's the biggest thing. That's, you know, going back, like, I don't know which Stoke, but most people always seek outside approval why?
Right.
It should always be for yourself, especially, you know, if there's some being a little bit, you know, I guess greedy about something, but sometimes you got to be a little greedy to get what you're trying to achieve.
There's a lot to that. Say you want to like helping people, but you help other people because you are fucking narcissistic, and it makes you feel really good. So like, but you do that.
Giving the homeless a $5 bill.
Like you do things, but like you're always going out of your way to help other people, and people are like, why do you do that? And it's like, oh, it makes you feel better, right? But because you want to feel better. But at the same time, you're doing these things because yes, you want it, but it's not because it's a bad thing. It doesn't make you a bad person. Like you're doing it because it just cheers you up. So it's like, cool. Why do you do that? Well, because I'm doing it for me, from my own personal mood. Whatever. If you helped other people, great. But so it doesn't have to be the worst thing. Like, yes, you helped someone, you know, but there's a balance to that. That some people are like, oh, you just always look out for yourself, and that's selfish, and you're go through life that was like you would have to because no one else is really looking out for you.
You really have to take those moments to be selfish. Like when we talked about this one dude on Instagram, I think his name again is Tom Belay or something. Always will put up like holding signs, like a whiteboard or a poster board. You want to work out for 2 hours, do it. You find a book you like, sit and read it all day. You want to start this company, be selfish with those things that can potentially lead you to be a better person.
Right.
Not saying that you got to do that every day, but if you do that some of the time, probably 9 out of 10 times, you will be a better person because you took that time when you were really driven and passionate about something and you just focused all on it and there were no disruptions. Yeah. And then you get done, you're like, man, I feel real good because I got that workout in, or I read that book, or I started this or finished this. You just put that energy into something positive and it brings a better outlook in the end.
Focused energy versus mindless energy.
We'll bring it, we'll be rewarded.
Yeah, one gets results and one does not. One just keeps mindlessly chasing the result.
You have the energy, you just chose to spend it in some other way, you know, like, but you could have like focused it and been like, oh, fucking find a hobby.
Dude, I tell you what, man, my fucking bass instructor, Darren, for the local people, it's Darren Gray. He's the old bass player for Dazzling Killman and all sorts of crazy bands, but anyway, Darren was providing some pretty good intellect for me my last lesson last week, and he says, you know, if you can go all in on something, at the time we were talking about music, so learning an instrument, if you can go all in on something, and I mean, people are going to think you are out of your fucking mind crazy, but if you go all in and you master something to the best of your potential for that moment, everything else becomes, I'm going to use the word again, illuminated. Everything else becomes easier. It's less stressful because you've already gone through all of the processes that repeat themselves for every good happening that's ever happened. They all take steps. It all starts with a person that has a really good idea that somehow makes it through the wickets without being fucking disrupted, right? It doesn't get distorted. It doesn't get politicized. It actually makes it. So we need more of that.
Yeah.
We need way more of that.
And I think, yeah, and that starts with each of us as individuals, like to collectively say, we all need that. Well, that's too much.
It is.
But
if 7 out of 10 of us do it.
I can do those things in my life, and my wife is doing those things in her life. Well, we got ourselves squared away. Yeah. Our household is good. So now we share that information with our neighbors, and then they start working it in his life, and then she works it.
Right.
You know, and they start doing the internal work that they need to do to be better human beings in life for themselves. Well, that, you know, it's like a ripple in water. It just moves out into the population.
Have you had a
slowly.
friend? Have you had a friend come to you that's been watching and said, "Hey, man, I don't know what you're doing, but I want some of that"?
I've had dozens.
Isn't it fucking
I send
amazing?
messages on Instagram.
Hell yeah.
Like Dr. Tommy John and different things, and I'm like, hey, that's a really good, like, thanks, man. Like, this is insightful for me, and like, I'm gonna take a little of that. And
I appreciate that you were able to take something from it, because it was, you know, it fell in my lap, and I don't, you know, I post a lot of resharing things that really, you know, get to me.
Yeah.
There's things that I have worked through or things I'm currently working through.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not leaving anything behind. I'm not going to like save a trauma for later. As soon as I feel a trigger or something like has emotionally made me feel a certain way, whether good or bad, I'm either going to share it or share it with my response to that.
Right.
You know, in some positive light.
It's sort of picking your battle. It's picking the exact poison that you want to drink when you want to drink it.
Exactly right.
I do enjoy getting on social media and interacting in a certain way. What I don't enjoy is what too much of that does to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I do enjoy what cannabis provides to me. Too much of it, not a good thing.
Same.
It's all fucking balance.
Yep.
It all goes back to the mimicry of what the tree leaves in our or the tree leaves in our vascular system, or the rings in the tree, and there's all these different correlations that I've read about, the thumbprints, and it just this foundation that we are all not lacking, but we were never taught that we had. We were never taught how to self-soothe, how to self-medicate, how to rebound from trauma, perceived or real.
We were. It's just we grew out of that.
I don't think we did get taught that. We were taught to go buy things to make us happy. We were taught
modern society. Yes, I'm talking
about us here.
I'm talking way back. We just we evolved, and not in the good way.
Right. Evolution's generally good when people are like, "Oh, you've changed." It's like, yeah, I'm trying. I'm like, I read books. I try and be a better person. I try and like I don't want to push it on anyone. Like it's like take a little bit from what I can learn from other people. Like, oh, yeah, and I know. It helps me personally. Right. If it helps you, cool. If not,
but what happens? What happens if you think you're the smartest person in the room everywhere you go?
A fucking problem.
And all of a sudden, everybody in the room is smarter than everyone else, and that is where we are right now.
Yeah.
So not what if? What do we do?
I had a buddy who was I used to work with. He's pretty religious, and I guess he was at a Bible study, and he zoomed around the room in the camera. He's the youngest one in there, probably by 30 years. He goes, "It's great to be the dumbest person in the room sometimes," because he's learning from people who are 2 times his age,
Right.
Yeah.
have experience, whether life lessons, relationship lessons, but learning, whatever they're reading in the Bible, focusing on that week. And it's a good point. Like, it sometimes is good to be the dumbest person in the room and learn and just sit back and be quiet and maybe ask a simple question. And people might be like, but hey, I'm new to this. I have this question.
Right.
Versus, or even if you are the smartest person in the room, pretend to be the dumbest for a moment. Act like you know nothing about what is going on and go in there with a blank slate in your mind and go, I know nothing about this, even if I'm an expert, and I'm going to learn and take in. Because that's what a lot of people do. That ego gets in the way. I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm going to run the show. And then you learn nothing from any of these people
Right.
who might be equal to you or some above you, but your ego's in the way that you're just not listening to it.
Or you create that where it's like you're the project of like the 5 people you surround yourself with and shit. And it's like
Yeah.
some people like into entrepreneurial stuff and business. They're always like, oh, you need to get people who are smart. And it's like, no, you don't. Like I don't personally. Like I'd rather have 5 people that are my friends for 5 different traits and being good people that have drastically different interests than I do, because I don't want to talk about fucking marketing all day. It's not fun. Like, it's what I do, but I don't want to talk. Like, and there's maybe elements so I can share some things I know, and they're like, oh, that's really cool. That's how it started with Jeremy. It was like, oh, you have a brand, and it probably could do a couple of these things a little different. I'm just, maybe a little. And he's like, oh, so you were, oh yeah, that's pretty good advice. You want to like help me out? And I was like, yeah, I can, But we didn't sit down to talk and be like, cool, let's just talk about marketing all day. It's like, no, man, let's go to fucking hardcore shows and go to tattoo and do fun things and not.
Right.
Just talk about the same shit and think you're the smartest guy among 5 other smart guys that all think the same thing. You need to have drastically different perspectives. I think that's valuable. That's the biggest part to me. And I think most people just sitting here do.
I'm finding so much more value in that very thing. Just taking time to listen to somebody else's viewpoints, whether they're in line with yours or not in line with yours, but just, objectively listening and making that part of your daily diet, to not be so emotionally attached to everything that comes out of.
Not to be married to every idea.
To every idea. To just to go ahead and be a little more flexible in life.
Right. You can let that idea unravel, like we said earlier. You
can be wrong.
Dissolve.
Maybe you've been wrong for your whole life.
Yeah.
And then so instead of being mad about it, being like, he is saying something that I don't agree with.
But,
no, actually realize like, oh shit, maybe I was wrong.
I feel like that's probably why we're all here today. Is we've come to that realization at some point in our life and said, man, I think I've been doing it wrong.
Right. And
but there's a lot of humility that comes with that. Like, you have to backtrack and
that opportunity,
like re-quote some things. And,
right.
Bro, would you agree that opportunity to tell yourself that you've been wrong your whole life will be the greatest feeling of I'm right that you've ever experienced?
Yeah.
Like, holy fuck, there's the top of the mountain. I fucking made it.
Yeah.
I was a dick.
Yep.
Holy shit, it's that easy. All right, let's fucking go down and see what we can do again.
Yeah.
And then you climb halfway up and you're like, oh, I was a dick again. Let me go back down. And you come back up a quarter of the way, and eventually you'd fucking probably make it back to the top again. And that's probably when we die, because our job is done. We did what we came to fucking do. And the universe says, okay, Frank, now you're going to be over here, and you're going to be some dude's little brother.
Yeah.
And he's going to fucking need your help. And your lessons are going to fucking help that dude, because I think we all just keep going and coming.
It's
agree, all
100%.
cyclical, right?
I mean, how many times have you reincarnated in this life? How many different hats have you worn?
Yeah, right. You're not the
right.
same person you used to be.
Right? Oh, yeah, you're right, because I grew.
Thank God.
Right. Luckily.
Hey, did you guys know that our tree grew out front? Somebody go chop that fucking thing back down.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. I'm very grateful I'm not the same person. And I have been called out on numerous times. Oh, your style changed again. Oh, you did this. Oh, here he goes again. Yep. Here I go.
I like it too.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm on to a new and better me.
When I was younger, I almost developed a complex, because every time I saw this particular member of my family who I loved and looked up to dearly, he was a cousin of mine, and now he's a town alcoholic here locally. He's just not good. Mm-hmm. But I looked up to him so dearly, and every time I would see him, as we grew older, it would be every maybe a year or two, like, man, You're always different, man. Every time we hang out, you're a different person. And as a child, I was like, fuck, I think he's right. Like, am I an imposter? And now I realize,
He's the person who didn't change.
That motherfucker is still the same age as when he was digging on me. When he was shitting on my fucking cereal, that's his same age right now. He never developed. Never developed. So, excuse me, when he does go, it's going to be horrible. Whether it's like the time he fell down multiple flights of stairs and almost killed himself, or the time whatever time he tried to walk in traffic, whatever it is, I think that he's not learning his lessons. He's going to die very miserably, and I hate this for him. And he's got to come back, and he's going to have to do all this shit again until he gets it right.
And
I think. Not that you're ever really aware of that until you are.
Sure.
Right?
It's definitely,
Fuck.
that concept that has definitely been on my radar. I mean, and it happens in times of meditation, you know, little passing thoughts of, well, I've already been here. This is old to me.
Right. Why am I doing this again?
Yeah. And not in a bad way, just an understanding, like, this is not the be all to end all. What happens at the end of this whole thing doesn't mean that's the end of this whole thing. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
And we've been doing this for eons.
Right.
But how much shorter can we make those downtimes? You know what I mean? How much shorter can we have low energy in our life? Because that's what I'm shooting for in this go around. See where that brings me next time. You know?
Man, right. And you hope that maybe you step off on a good foot next time.
Yeah.
And you've propelled something and you've gotten rid of a cycle and you don't beat your child.
Right.
So guess what? Your child never had an idea that people could get beat. So he would never beat his child. It's not baked into him.
Right.
And I'm not speaking personally. I'm just saying it's all baked in. It all gets taught in the factory. And that factory has had your last generations on it, and you get the same shit from that assembly line put into your fucking DNA. And now they say we pay for fucking 9, 10, 11 generations of fucking trauma just in our DNA.
Sure.
You feel shame for shit. You've got no fucking idea what you're feeling shame for.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm paying for shit that this asshole did fucking 500 years ago.
Zero control over.
Yeah.
So focus on the things you can control.
Today.
That's right.
Not the past.
Can't control that shit.
Today.
And it's not to say like you're not remorseful at times about like you fuck things up. But like, yeah, I probably fucked up.
I still
But-
feel that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, when people, I've always said this for a long time, so like 15 years now, like 20 maybe. I wouldn't change anything. You fuck up young, whatever, you do it. I wouldn't change it because it makes you who you are. So each year it was like, people are like, what do you, if you could go back and do that, you know, these things more, and it's like, now, it is what it is. Like because if I sat around dwelling about changing fucking past, that's not going to get me very far.
No, I can.
At
Yeah,
all.
here. I've been
Zero
there.
places.
I've been there plenty.
And maybe
Plenty.
6 feet under if you just dwell on the past. So
But a lot
like,
of times, I mean, that's where all of our depression comes from, is focusing on the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let
When
that
you're
shit
obsessing
go.
about the past, you will spiral down in depression. If you're anxious about the future or events that have not yet happened, the idea of an event happening, you're going to be anxious all the time.
All the time.
So until you can become present right here, right now, you know, that's where your happiness is. And most people either live in the past, you know, and they use those. I'm speaking from experience. I had to make a commitment not to use my past or my wife's past as a tool against her in an argument. That was a commitment.
Or
I
against
made.
yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like those are
Right.
things. So we have very few arguments as soon as I made that commitment, because I have nothing to throw in her face.
Yeah.
All I had was my
Yeah.
past experiences, and you remind me of, well, that's not a good way to keep a marriage lively and happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So these were things that I did 2 years ago. That was the person I was behind closed doors. But when I had to face him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to face him.
Yeah.
And
There's no-
and
there's
do away
no-
with it, and
Yeah.
just make commitments that's not who I am anymore.
There's no running away from it. Once you see it, it can't be unseen. And by it, I mean you. When you find your true self, your sinner, it can't be undone.
Right.
But you will be tested. You will fall back and be that dick again, time after time, and you'll feel shitty about it. but like we said earlier, fewer and farther between, shallower levels of shit. You know, shoes stay a little cleaner. But that's the practice. That's the enjoying the moment, and not, you know, like what's his name, Connor Oberst from Bright Eye says. He says, I'd rather be working for a paycheck than waiting to win the lottery. I'll be goddamn. That young man wrote a fucking hell of a line right there.
Yeah.
And that's just like this shit work. Dude, when I go to bed at night, I did not get everything accomplished that I wanted to, because in the morning, I want to do everything. I am so fucking alive. I want to do everything. And I don't sit down in front of the fucking TV anymore. And I don't get fucking depressed anymore.
Right.
I don't fucking run out of
those
energy
two are
anymore.
correlated.
Yes.
Like, because you get into this loop, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just like the whole eating.
Or you control what you consume too. So it's like, people
Yeah.
like, listen, I've been connected to the internet for most of my life. I feel like I was in like 7th, 8th grade. We had a computer. My mom sold Apple computers in the 80s. Like, man, I think a fucking laptop and a phone are fine. But how you use it. So if like, yeah, you consume doom and gloom all day, your whole day sucks.
Yeah.
But if you consume things that stimulate your brain, thought leaders, or there's Twitter, art on Instagram, different things. Read fucking articles, medical. You literally can read college textbooks now, like medical journals. You can read anything you want.
Yep.
You can read everything that super, super smart people have published before us for free in the palm of your hand right now. So do that. Spend your time doing something other than consuming something that's not going to bring you fucking joy or happiness or really any intrinsic value. Like what is...
Right.
Unfortunately, what does the local news do? I quit watching. I used to really like the locals because sometimes be like, oh, here's a nice, like, keeps you in touch with your community,
Yeah.
kind of, right? Like, here's what's going on around me. It's like I don't give a shit about what these things going on around me. I don't.
No.
They've been going on. It's not like you're ignoring them. They don't go away. I'm well aware that they go on, but I'm just not trying to.
It's on your
read-
periphery.
Yeah, I'm not trying to read that headline every morning.
Right.
That's
Right,
not
right.
why
Have you guys actively been changing your algorithms on your devices?
Oh,
knowing-
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I
you get
learned
the
about
stuff-
that, my entire mood changed.
Dude, yes.
I'm not tech savvy at all. Like it's a lot of work for me to figure out how to use a new device if I get one, or to use a program that I've not used before. It just doesn't come easy to me.
Sure.
I never played video games and or anything like that growing up. I just wasn't allowed. But yeah, learning that if I don't click on this thing to read this article with this crazy headline, I don't get as much of that. But if
Right.
I do click on this guy playing guitar riffs and scales, and
you're gonna get more of those. And it's like, cool.
everything
That's what I would like.
currently in my
Skate
life
videos,
is-
and it's like, this is
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
Or, like,
Exactly. So
weird artists that I've never heard of, and it's like, where is this? And it's like, oh,
And
this
that's
is
what
cool.
people need to
Like,
realize. What you like or follow, whether on whatever social media platform, you're creating it. So I'm like, oh man, I'm tired of it. You created that world.
Yes, you did. Yes.
You did.
Yes.
You were the one that followed these people, added them as a friend, liked this
They've always
account.
been your friends. They've always been this way. Social media for a long time. I've learned this
Yeah.
many years ago that what people don't realize that like just because you have a keyboard, like they wouldn't walk in a room and yell some of this shit, but they'll post it on the internet. They're like, that's fine. And they're like,
Yeah.
and then everyone is like fucking very cowardly and ones, and they'll go to the grocery and be like, man, you know what he said on the internet? But if he walked in the room with 50 people and said that, somebody would be like, I'm going to do something, and all these people will support me. But no, otherwise, because I see people posting dumb shit on there, and it's like 2 people like it. And I'm like, damn, nobody cares about your dumb opinion. And you can stay friends with them, whatever, because you've been friends with them for 20 years, right?
just don't acknowledge it.
But yes, they've had these aren't new beliefs. They just have decided to be a little more open, and like that whole concept of don't talk about religion and politics in the bar. I thought that was like a general rule people knew. Like religion, government, like those are just like stay out of it.
you're
And
fueling
don't talk
fire.
about it to people. Now it's all anyone wants to talk about. Every religion, there's hundreds of new religions, and it's good that you learned about them, but it doesn't mean you need to sit around and bash them or like whatever. And everybody's got everybody's a fucking political scientist now. It's like, dude, I mean, come on. Everybody's parents voted, everybody's grandparents voted. They've been doing that for a long time.
Right.
But they kept that shit to themselves, and nobody was like fist fighting over.
I remember as a kid, growing
You
up.
weren't
in the
supposed to talk about that
70s
shit.
and 80s. My parents didn't tell each other who they
Right.
voted for.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
was that closed off.
This is mine.
So,
This is.
as we grew into the internet age and watched how people had a platform, and it just became more and more acceptable until a point where that's all that's on there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of people, they've built their own little perfect echo chambers, just like we said. It's like if I'm on YouTube and I'm looking at videos about X, Y, or Z, oh, lo and behold, I start seeing more of X, Y, and Z.
Oh yeah.
And then
Conspiracy theories, you'll see more of them.
Oh,
more
you're
of
just,
them,
you're
right,
just gonna
yeah.
go down. It's gonna fall over.
It's called the rabbit hole, and you can dive
Yeah.
into it real. And they even autoplay the next video for you.
Yeah,
So it's
unless
like,
you
oh,
turn
hey,
that
watch
shit
this
off.
crazy
Turn that
conspiracy.
shit off. Good
Here's
deal.
what every other crazy person that likes conspiracy theories watches too, and it's like, oh man. And then it's like, did you guys see this? And people are like, yeah, I did. Can you believe it? And it's like they showed it to both of you on purpose. You don't realize that, right? Like there's no subliminal even here. It's not
Right,
They
yeah.
did that on purpose. They showed
Yeah.
it both to both of you and knew that you would be like, hey, did you see? Yeah, of course. Like you're being controlled almost. Like it really is.
It's like the agent provocateur sort
Yeah,
of
you know,
thing,
like-
baked in.
Yeah.
right.
You got to
It's-
turn it around and be in control. Like it's crazy. I've been using this like AI writing tool lately, and it's weird. It's like based off that GPT-3 models and all this.
Is this
AI.
where it auto generates what you were gonna say anyhow?
Like it's like you give it a topic and a tone and like so like blog post type of thing, right? And it'll
Oh
like
my
boom, and
goodness.
it'll spit out 500, 1,000, and then like and it's to the point where it'll like cite sources, and at the end it'll be like this article will be like written by Dr. Thomas A. Wadinsky, right? And you look it up, and it's like this isn't a real person, but it's cited like it would be, and like I could easily take this and put it on a blog, and like all these, and it's like damn. So we use it for something like it helps. You could get
That
an
changes
assistant to write, right?
everything.
Like you
Yeah,
could get someone that's not as qualified, or in one sense, like I say, not as qualified because it has in the artificial, it writes weird shit. So it's like
So
it's
this
not like
is-
super factual, but you also can go against people that aren't that good at researching and writing. So
But
like,
hey,
where's
in a
your-
dystopian future or dystopian world, if the people in the revolutionists had that kind of
Yeah.
power to use for good, holy
And there's a lot of
shit.
people there's a Facebook group with all these people
throwing that shit out there, dude.
use
Just
this, and there's
fucking
some people that use it for
sprinkles.
marketing, and other people that are like not very digitally savvy, right? You can see them, and it's
Right.
like oh, and they're like I want to do, and it's like oh, and they're like it won't do this for me, and it's like right because you don't understand how to use the machine. You're over here going, oh, they gave me the keys, and it's
just
like,
like
yeah, that doesn't
all those
but
marketing
if you,
bots.
but then when you learn how to use the machine, it's like, oh, I need to be careful because I have. I have been yielded to the infinite power. It's like,
okay.
why do I need fucking a VA? For years, I've been paying people to write art, like to help you with contribute content.
Right.
It's like the name of the game online, right? Content. You have to give people shit to consume. The machine can do it now. Pretty good. It's not great. It's not 100% by any means. You still have to fucking proofread it, but like, wow, it does a pretty good job. It spit out to, and it.
Wow.
The other crazy thing that I think is that I like is it helps you brainstorm. I can't brainstorm by
So it
myself.
gives you
I can't
another perspective.
But I could put something in there and it can give me and be like, oh,
That's a good idea.
spurred the idea. It
What's
gets your
the
brain going.
What's the name of this?
It's called Jarvis.
Of course it is.
And then Jarvis is
Fucking
an
random.
AI robot.
When it gets upgraded, is it gonna be called Friday?
There's an upgraded plan that you can get, and it's called Boss Mode. So once you get Jarvis and Boss Mode, man, I'm telling you, it's on.
We got to talk about this post show. I need to
then
get in on
Friday.
this shit.
It's just a whole nother perspective that's wild, and like I mean I think that's
Could really help my songwriting capabilities.
just spur ideas like and that's
Is
where
the
like,
information accurate?
generally you do need to fact check it, but generally it is, and it's supposedly like because of this like it's built off of like other AI technology, right?
Yeah, it's
This
databases
GPT-3 and,
upon
like,
databases,
kind of like
yeah.
Watson and all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? That it only knows the internet up to like 2019, I think, but. So unless you're trying to write about like super current topics, which I have done a few things and it's been pretty like about cryptocurrency and it was like pretty on point there. But yeah, you up to 2019, shit. Wow. If I could figure out everything on the internet up to 2018, I'm fine. Like we're good. The last 2 years, that's kind of sucked.
Hey,
me.
you're.
Like, fucking forget
Hey,
those. Like, I'm
if
cool.
Germany's still into fucking
know?
David Hasselhoff, we can come back a couple years when our writing, right? Fuck, man, shit catches up.
We don't have to write about anything from like fucking January 2020 onward. Good.
This
Not
is
been
so-
great since.
This scares the balls off
Yeah.
of me, but it also excites me and makes me want to sink my fucking teeth in it and see what it's about. I didn't realize that
I
this
messed
existed.
with some other things that like, they have like article spinners, right? From art, and like it changes verbs. So it'd like take an article, right? So and it spins the verb. So it'd be like he did or went to do, and like, and so
Right.
and it's like, and it becomes unique.
So it
In a
becomes
sense.
yours.
It passes Google's algorithm. That's the other part. Is everything else is algorithm based. We're working against Google as an AI algorithm that's constantly trying to show you what it thinks is the best content. All this. So yes, once you create something unique to pass the test, like you just spun verbs. That's this shit is like I said, you put in a headline and a brief as like a couple sentences, and you can pick a tone. Like you could put like. Right, some people put like like Morgan Freeman. It's like you could put like professional, witty, and then it'll write it and be like, oh, so you want to know about? And it's like, oh, dude, I'm not witty like that. I wouldn't have started that.
But
like,
what if
I'm
you
like,
find-
that's great? I'm like, that is a really good intro. Like and where else can you do this? Like
I needed
think
that for this bio I had.
like
to write.
brainstorming with people is super fucking fun. That's my favorite
bio.
thing. I feel like
College is going to be so easy for kids.
About,
About their
like,
hands in this shit.
business consulting and stuff is when you get to brainstorm with people. So it's like, oh, now you have like something to just literally throw ideas off of, and it has no opinion. That is like,
It doesn't have any merit, really.
No, but it also hasn't formed an opinion.
But it wasn't formed from intent.
No, there is no intent, I don't think.
So
and when it writes, sometimes people, and like I said, I pick up on these people's questions. They'll ask a lot, and they'll be like, why does it like write? And it's like, because that's the content that it's like consumed, and it's generally written that way. So that's what it assumes is what it could be. So there are some preconceived, I guess, notions, but in general, you know what I mean? Like most people have fucking opinions and not things.
This is going to be like auto-tune for writing. This is auto-tune for writing.
This is like the calculator of our era.
Yeah.
Fuck
The
yes.
cell phone of my
It's
kid.
now-
You know, his kid's not going to have to ever talk
Yeah,
ever.
it's
He'll
no
just
different
write
now
a tone
than
of
the
what
AI
he wants.
apps for math. Watching the kids that used to be at my work, the college kids. I'm like, what are you doing? Doing math. Why is your camera open over the formula? Oh, I got this app. All I got to do is show the camera
No
over
kidding?
and it'll answer it.
That's impressive.
It'll
I didn't know
break
that.
down the work. Yes. So no matter what math you are in now, they can hold this flipping thing over. It'll read the problem and it'll break it all down. And then all they use copy. I'm like, that's not teaching you how to solve it. What are you going to do when the test comes?
Do you guys use Gmail for your emails?
Yeah.
I do have
So if you have the Gmail app, it has usually the couple little buttons at the bottom that are quick signatures. It'll be thanks for letting me know. Depending on what
yeah.
and they are relevant every single time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're on the desktop, maybe even the mobile too, I don't remember. It will give you sometimes a preview of how to finish your sentence. And you just
Yes,
swipe,
it does.
And it'll be like, hey, Jeff sends me an email that says, Jordan, here's that report. Let me know your thoughts. And I'll type, hey, Jeff, comma, and I'll put thanks. And then in the gray words, it'll say, for sending me the report, period. And I can just fucking swipe. And it's like, I know what and here's probably what you in a sense, like it's like what you should say. Like people aren't good at communication. That's like
Right.
a high
They do it,
level.
yeah.
So it's a weird like, and I know like there's grammar tools and all kinds of things, right? Like
Have
people
you-
need
Make
these.
people worse. at
Have you
communicating.
used it?
It's weird. Yeah,
Have you used it on iOS 15 yet?
No, does it have
It's
it too?
even more.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a
Apple
weird
has it on the
balance, all right?
text.
Because like
Yeah, that's
we
what
always
we're
could have
talking
learned
about,
to be
yeah.
better at
I
grammar.
turn it off. I don't like
And
that.
some people are just like, well, I just don't know how to spell. It's like, oh, right, but like you could have learned.
I'm
you
guilty
could
of
get
that,
better
you know,
at it,
hit-
you know. But like, yeah, no,
hit talk to
but,
text
or like
and be
people
like,
like just like they don't sentence structure. There's all kinds of like grammar. Like that's so. If a tool could help you be better at that, I think that will help you become a better communicator. Because most people, if we can't talk forever
Well, too,
about
if you-
everything, and
if
if
you
you're
see it
writing things
enough-
and you can write it better, it's going to convey your message better.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like if you suck
you
at
see
how to
it
convey
enough,
things in writing,
You will learn that.
Yeah.
Because you're learning stuff as you see this repeatedly. No different than the Google thing, the Gmail. Oh, that's a better response than what I was. Ooh, I like that word better. It's teaching you no different than a thesaurus or dictionary what to give you replacements.
Like there are these tools. Most
It's-
people just quit using them a long time
But
ago.
you have to be aware and use it for those purposes, which some do, like as you are, and some might, oh, this makes life easier.
Right.
But no, when I would write emails, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That sounds way better. Yep.
Yeah.
Let that gray
I
fill.
still think that without intent, words have zero meaning. And when you release words from something else or someone else that were put into your head, I just don't think that it does the same thing in the universe.
There's a
More-
slippery
little
slope.
empty.
It's a little more empty, and it feels like another shortcut that the four of us have started to complain and bitch about from years past that have gotten us to where we are now. So we I'm excited to try this, but much like I was excited for fucking more channels on cable TV, or a remote fucking
But you
control
don't even
that
have
just
them.
blew my mind.
I can relate to you on that.
Dude,
I can
nothing to
totally
watch,
relate.
man. We need more channels. And I was like, what is the channel number? It goes through 900. Yeah. I'm like, how are you gonna find anything ever?
And you don't even watch it. You won't watch it. You won't even watch a fraction of them. It's like 10 channels you'll choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to
Same
be a
ones every
devil's
time.
advocate to you, truly no words have intent. We gave them the intent as humans and definition.
That's what I mean,
The other
though.
day, like my daughter's something, watching something on Instagram online, somebody said fuck, and she goes, oh, they said a bad word. Well, what did they say? F-U-C-K. And I'm like, or I think it was fucker, but whatever. And I was like, okay. And then we're both like, someone in the past said that word was bad. Yes, you shouldn't repeat it. But every word was created by somebody to say, this is what it means and this is intent. I go, tomorrow, your name could be the worst word in the world because society voted it. No words really have meaning. Trying to explain this to a 9-year-old, so it's like, whoa, okay, this is pretty intense and weird.
This is the
Yeah,
time to
just show her the
explain to
word Karen.
But like,
There's you an example. of that.
but
yeah.
it's that thing to try and teach her, like, hey, yes, it's a bad word, but to whom?
in the context. It's the context of
Yeah.
how you use it. If
We
you call people
saw-
Karen in a
and
bad
really
way,
trying
like,
to
that's
just
rude.
teach her, like,
someone's
hey-
mom named Karen is like,
Hey, we
she's a
just
nice
saw
woman.
we saw that. Well,
Which is funny 'cause she's got-
fag used to be a cigarette.
2 ants named
Karen.
But dude, we have seen the precipitous, the advent, the oncoming of that. That Karen is a new bad word because it has been deemed that
Yeah,
by
it's
society.
It's a derogatory term.
So
you'll
it's-
probably see less Karens
In
40
20 years
from
from
Well, you already
now,
know that.
somebody's going to be named Karen, and someone's going to go, "Why did you name your kid Fucker?"
They can already
Right.
see that like going down on
Like
names.
Fokker. It's Gaylord Fokker.
It is.
Like, why would you do this to him? And it's like, well, back then,
Jesus
you didn't
Christ.
understand how
Yeah.
things were before the Karen took over.
You couldn't have known.
yeah.
We were
Right?
from the 60s.
We are spiraling out of control with all of this. Everything's got to be this or that, or it's got to have a name, or it's got to have this. But I do believe that everything must have intent. So when we do say, we'll go back to the words, words don't have anything meaning behind them without intent. So then when those words without intent are released into the universe and people absorb them, that's fake news. I'm just going to say it. That's false information, or it's devoid of real intent.
Sure.
I might be fucking wrong. To me, like you said, it would be a really cool tool to go, like, I'm not thinking about this straight. I need to talk to someone. Let me type this in. Let's see what Jarvis says. Oh, that's a great fucking way. Okay, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. That's cool. But what I see it being used for is the exact same thing that opiates are used for. Just a little wound and a huge wound, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to go, oh, fuck, I got a fucking history report tomorrow.
What's another word for this? And you just type a whole report off of one.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, every child in the school has straight A's. Okay, if that's what we wanted. Okay. Just saying, dude.
And I saw something that was like, oh, they're gonna start picking up on AI generated content. And there's like debate about that. How? There's no way.
Not when you can make it a flat
yeah.
file like a PDF where it doesn't even view anything
There's no
on
way-
it.
The way
it's flat.
Language is language. The way
Yeah.
people write, like I'm like I said, of having people that do marketing and ghostwriting, like people that aren't native English speakers, they sometimes write, and it's like, oh, did this? No one would say this. Like to us, I'm like, this is not.
Yeah.
But to them, they like interpret or whatever, and they thought they wrote it correctly, and it's like that's not the. And sometimes, I mean, I talk to the fucking Brits that we've worked with, and I'm like, that's not how you say that. And then it's like, oh, no, never. All right, yeah, that's how you guys say it.
Right.
Right. And it's like, cool, you're right. We just have a different, nope, we're on the same page. And it's like, but it takes me a second to be like, wait, oh, yeah, no, you're not wrong. That's how, you're right. That's your way. This is
Right.
our way. We do them differently. That's all good.
And when you know you've won is when you're making fun of each other's
Yeah,
stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
And then you bond, and then it's like that you could have gone one way and been ugly with it, or it turned into something really beautiful and much like a military kind of like camaraderie.
Yeah.
Totally, dude.
Like you understand people are different. And that's okay. And it's like, oh, we're right, fine, all good. Back to where we were. Like
yeah,
cool.
man. Yeah, it's funny.
Most people
if,
get hung up though before they get to there.
if you could
I
just
think luckily
imagine that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
I was going to say, I think we're lucky that we have the hieroglyphs now with the emojis, so it doesn't matter what language you speak. You can just drop your emotion down on a little picture, and
That-
you don't have to use any words anymore.
Yeah, and as long as you're 19 and got the eggplant, you're fucking solid. Right?
Well, too, we're blessed with the technology of these apps that you can speak a sentence and it'll repeat it, or you can speak a foreign language and and it'll translate it. That we can communicate with.
I'm pretty
different
sure there's
cultures.
new earpieces now that you can wear
I've heard
that
of there
translate,
is.
right?
There
So like
are,
it translates in
real time.
Yeah, so like you can.
Yeah, the
all
UN
speaking in
uses
a-
that stuff.
Yeah.
UN's been using that
Yeah,
technology.
it's probably technology's been out for years. Most people just didn't have access to it.
Yeah.
And do people need that? Maybe not, right? Would it become difficult if we had 10 different languages that were the common language in our geographic region, right? And only half the people had ear translators? Shit, man. The other half of the people are fucked.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to speak 10 different languages.
But what if in the future, I don't know, 50 years from now, everybody, it's just normal to wear a fucking earring or an earpiece.
As long as it's normal and everyone has one,
and
you're great.
everybody in the world speaks the same fucking language. Yeah. How fucking crazy is that to think? It could happen tomorrow. You're talking to somebody in fucking North Korea and they're like, what is happening?
Well, I mean,
So that has to use AI then too, and here that has to be translating with context, because I know Google translates pretty good.
Yeah.
But I of working with people in different content over the years, sometimes it's good to have someone double check it, or like a proofreader if like you're doing like an art, anything, right? Like some marketing, an ad, anything, like, because there's certain words in different languages that don't have a meaning in English, or an English word that does not have a meaning in Thai. Like that, they don't have a word for that.
Most
like
of ours that don't.
And then versus Chinese, it's like this means a phrase, not one thing. So like there's not really a way to like. They put them together, but it's like, whose interpretation is that? And it has to be something.
Yeah, whose truth is that?
Because it's like, that's not really
what.
what they mean. Yeah, exactly. Instagram, and it's probably pretty good.
I would
like
do
Facebook's
it.
a $1 billion company.
Yeah, do Instagram. Like, look at something like,
See
for instance, what we
translation?
could do is like Hiroshi the Third. He'll write in English sometimes, and he'll put stuff in Japanese, and you'll see it and you'll read them like, that makes no flipping sense
Right.
in
I'm
English.
like, that's
but
not what he meant.
from I can't read it, but I know that like brother, there is no word for brother. Are you the older? Or are you the younger?
Right.
There's not just one. Sister, like, they got how many terms? Like, you got to take it and realize
They
like,
threw them back.
like, okay, I get what you're saying, and it's
You can pick up the concept.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's
No
there's
person
something
of American
what I
English
believe the
speaking would
phrase
say
is
this.
lost in translation. So now we're using technology. That's great, but what's being lost in translation?
There will be
Something.
lots.
A lot. Has to be.
But think though, maybe less than what's lost in translation just between you and a stranger in a random conversation. There's a lot of shit that gets lost, and fuck, this guy's twitching and he's moving a lot. I don't know if he's got good energy or if he's on fucking crack. You don't know
did you
what's
see that
going
thing over
on.
there? You know, like,
Exactly.
Oh, what were we talking about? It's like,
Exactly.
no one's paying it. So if maybe there was something that, I mean, shit, I got those new AirPod Pros. My wife got them for me, and they have the noise canceling.
Oh boy,
And it's wild because then you put it, and I'm like, oh,
feels like you're underwater.
I'm like in
isn't
a
it?
different place. Like I don't, and then you take them out, and it's like, damn, everything's so loud.
Yeah.
It's like,
turn the transparency
yeah,
on.
it
even
it makes
more.
it even louder.
And then you can turn it on like when I go run, I'll put those in. Noise canceling is probably not the best thing to
Right.
do. Let alone when your heart starts really pumping, you just hear in your ear
Helicopter.
But you want to hear that, and it's interesting. It's like, oh man, you can hear things so far away, and it's like, where the hell's that at?
Yeah.
Right? But it's interesting to do. Like I'll do certain workouts with noise canceling on, and you take them off. It's like, oh, the whole world's been going on. But it's pretty interesting to what you can pick up.
Dude, have you guys experienced the spatial audio feature?
Yeah.
Okay, so spatial audio is built into the AirPods Pro. And what it is, if you're watching a show and if something happens in the back, much like surround sound back in the day, bro, first time it happened, I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I didn't catch on. I was like, what the fuck is that noise? And it kept happening. And then finally I was like, oh shit. I got fucking pranked. You know, I got pranked. It's in the speaker.
It's like a balance of sensory deprivation and sensory overload.
Yes.
So we
It
cut
does feel
out all
exhausting.
of the outside distractions that we're basically have become accustomed to and are used to, and then hyper focused on the other things.
You know why you
Oh.
can't hear anything? Because there is so much white noise going
It
on
runs and bounces
that
it out,
your
right?
body is hearing. Your ears are receiving it. You can't comprehend that noise, right? So just imagine, I used to go on long flights a lot. Always use noise canceling. I think it fucked me up, dude.
Right? You're like,
because when I pull them out and I'm like, I feel fatigued. I feel like I've been fucking engaged. But if I don't wear them, or if I just leave it off and I just conk out, it's a different experience. That noise canceling does something.
Yeah, it's wild.
There's
man.
something going. It's a lot more static or
Try
something.
putting the noise canceling on, and then really try to focus on the things outside that are going on. So
you-
you still got something coming in the ears. It's like when I usually run, I'll listen to a podcast, but I will still try and pay attention to everything around me, as you should. You gotta be aware. Hearing the cars, oh, there's a dog coming up in the yard. Bet this sucker's gonna bark. You know, trying to hear the outside versus the inside, it'll really play with your
And
mind.
like I don't do that. Like I work from home from 10 years in silence. I don't listen to music. I don't usually have the TV on in the back. I just sit and like every once in a while. But then I'll like catch myself listening to the damn song. And I'm like, fuck. Shouldn't be doing that. I need to focus on what I was doing, you know? So it's like, no, I don't.
Good for you.
But
Like,
like some
turn this
people are
shit
like,
up.
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like, oh, I can go
background
and
noise
do
type
this. And it's
person.
like, otherwise I feel like I'm super distracted. So like but it's a balance, man, because you're just like hyper focused. I'm like, oh shit, man, I'm in a tunnel and I maybe need to get out of it. Like I can hang out in this tunnel for a little bit, but now I got to step out and like,
Yeah.
rebalance myself.
It's
again
the same
because-
way with those fucking headphones.
Yeah.
Like when you get out of that world, you're like, fuck. All of a sudden it goes from like, beep, and you're like, oh God, I'm here again. I'm back.
It's
I'm
something
fucking
you
back.
can only take so much of, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'd really love to know more about that. I'm completely ignorant behind the science. I just shove them in my fucking ears and turn them on.
Yeah.
That's probably a great fucking thing to do. But it really is a neat experiment. If you've never worn noise canceling headphones, do it for like 30 minutes. Take a walk or something, and then go back into your house with normal noises or whatever and take those things out. And you will feel like your equilibrium has been a little off. You'll feel like you've been really running a marathon.
Meditate with them, and then put something over your eyes to truly block outside light, and then
Oh boy, you can get
Sit
lost
there.
doing that.
yeah,
This
because you will
reminds me.
completely be so honed in. But then when you take it off, you're like,
Sensory overload.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
so-
your eyes are like, God, it's so bright because you just honed in. The only thing that you are really taking the outside world is maybe the vibrations of the floor. You heard nothing.
So the Humphreys McGee is a jam band, right? And they have this thing. They're the only band I know of that does this. And I was standing next to a guy, and I remember looking over, and I was like, dude, what are you fucking, your headphones? Like, why do you have headphones on? He's like, here, it's the soundboard audio.
Yep.
So like, and I put it on, and it's running a live feed soundboard from as you're watching the concert. So I'm like at the Page in St. Louis in the middle of the crowd with the crispest, cleanest board audio. And like, but again, it's the like all these people are around, and it's just like, whoa, like you're in your own world though. And it was like, it was kind of overloaded. It was like, I did it for a minute, and I was like, all right, that's fucked up, man. 'Cause that's awesome, but like,
Hey, you
I don't
should
know if
try
I could
to-
do a whole
hey,
show like this because
listen.
like you took it in, and you were there, and you watched, and you saw, and you bumped into people, and you smelled. And all of your senses, but that balance.
Do you know when you
the
see
sound was just so intense that like,
Jordan, when you see a performer on stage take one of their earbuds out, that is that board feed. You could be here with you guys. I can't hear you. I can see you, but all I hear is me and my band. I hear the concert as if there was nobody else in the room and I was the only person viewing the concert.
That'd be
That
so weird.
and it's called in-ear monitors, and my band uses them. And I've been using them, and I just introduced them to them from my last band. And it was like they both said, holy shit, dude, I could hear everything I was doing. Like, it sounds so much different. Like, we can really dial things in if we practice with in-ear monitors. We hear every mistake, as opposed to going and playing out, and the crowd's like,
right.
I don't know if you've listened to yourself yet, guys, but anyway, it is a different experience, and that's why a lot of times you see people take the one out. You need that crowd noise to balance almost your equilibrium. It's an odd feeling,
You
man.
want to feel that, like, oh, you want to hear the people
their
cheering, and versus
emotion,
like, oh, you
because
can
then you
see
feel
them,
off that. Yeah.
Right. And you also lose a lot of the vibratory physical vibration that you get from music. Not the audible part, but the physic tonality of it. That warm vibration that goes over your skin and you don't even know it. You might lose that. You know, you sort of, get lost in that world in your own head, that own sound. It's like being in a recording studio with no noise. You're like, sort of like in here, if you're not used to it, it can feel flat, and it almost, you can feel it in your chest where it stifles something. It does the same thing in your head. You feel almost like not suffocated, but like a very well insulated thing around your head.
You're in a bubble.
Right? So anyway, we're going on and on about fucking in-ear headphones now, but it does something fucking weird to you. That's all I'm going to say. I'd love to know more science
Sensory
about it,
deprivation and consciousness, it all kind of ties together, though.
It does. Yeah, it really does.
Being aware or knowing that you're tuning, I think most people probably don't realize how much shit's tuned out. And it's like, here's something that will quickly show you how to tune in or tune out and where you want to find the balance between the two.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what do you say? Gonna tune in and tune out.
Right.
You know, Timothy
Tune
Leary.
in, turn on, and drop out.
That's it. Yeah, Tim Leary, right?
Yeah.
Fucking maniac.
Brain is God.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty wild, man. I mean, speaking of that shit, you go back and read like Aldous Huxley and Brave New World, or even the Orwellian stuff.
I mean,
it's really coming to life.
Ram Dass's book we've mentioned, but like, be here now. That's
here
all
now.
it is.
Yeah.
Just be here now. That's it.
My wife and I are reading that one now.
It's a great one,
Yeah.
man. Like, just be like, and we've talked about it. There were multiple times I thought about it, and I was like, in the moment, and it's like, just be. Like, you can't change what happened. Maybe you can set yourself up for success in the future, but there are going to be things that will curveballs, whatever, that change. Otherwise, just like be right here in the moment, and enjoy it, and because it'll be gone in a minute, and then there's something new coming up, and
Yeah, man. Yeah.
you'll have to take that in. It might not be good, it might be great, who knows? So just be present in what you're doing at the time and enjoy it. Because if you don't, then there's not much point in doing what you're doing. So change it, right? Like if you don't enjoy anything, fucking change it. Whether it's
I don't know. I try to change stuff up pretty regular.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll just pull something away that I'm used to having all the time. Lately it's been ketchup. I haven't ate ketchup in like 3 months. Just as something simple that I used to eat like on every meal somehow or another. I'd figure out how to get it into the diet. So
Nice.
it's like, I'm giving up ketchup. It's too acidic. It's too sugary. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I just quit.
right.
I think it's good to do that with numerous things over and
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah, man. My wife just said something like that last night. We had a conversation. Please forgive me, baby, but I'm gonna talk about this. I think it speaks to that. She's really focused on her diet and her exercise and stuff, and trying to be a healthy person. Doing a wonderful job at it. She was coming in from working really hard, and she's like, God, I need some carbohydrates. I need to replenish. I need to do this. I do that. I go, no, you don't. And she's like, she just stops and she starts to get a little defensive. And I was like, sweetheart, I go, I don't eat for 20 hours out of the day. And look at what I accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
I said, was it easy to go from eating constantly like they told us we had to fucking do? You have to buy a box of cereal and eat it at 8. You got to buy a fucking candy bar at 10. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was all fucking either lies or just really ignorant. Because if you don't eat a meal right after you just worked out, unless you're trying to put on mass, now we're talking science, you really want to be big, you are undoing every bit of energy that you just burned, you are going to undo.
Right.
Every bit of it. Cardiovascularly, you're better than what you were before. But size, weight, waistline, underarms, whatever women worry about, that diet will not get you there. I really believe that you have to make a drastic change, and a change that is so fucking uncomfortable for the first couple of weeks that most people just flat out refuse to do it. Because you'll go through the withdrawals like we talked about earlier outside.
Right.
Your sugar or caffeine withdrawals.
Yep.
Right? We go through sugar withdrawals. There's people that try to do keto and stuff. Yeah. Dude, we get fucked up trying to undo all the shit that our parents and their parents told us we had to do.
You're trying to be a geneticist in a sense. You're trying to redo the hormones. So like when you do keto, you do intermediate fasting or prolonged fasting, you're hormonally changing.
Yeah.
People don't realize those things, that the stuff, your body adapts. It's not like, oh, I'm going on a diet. You're hormonally changing.
A lot of people don't
things.
realize how much things are connected.
Yeah.
A affects B, affects C, and it's not just 26 letters in the alphabet. It goes a lot farther than that. And
Right,
they all connect. So when you start, like we were saying earlier, like pharma and everything, like once you start doing something for one, it might do a few others. So you really need to be conscious about how this goes together. And so maybe plan A wasn't the best because it's going to screw up a lot of other shit.
Yeah.
And plan B, which was your second plan at the time, but it's like, oh, in hindsight, that's probably my better route. Like for me, oh yeah, did everyone else say, oh, you should do that? Yeah, but did it work for you? No. So should you do what's best for you? Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's where my story
seems
went
kind of
with
fundamental, right?
with my
Like-
wife last night. Pardon me, Jeff, just for a second. It went from, okay, I understand you think that you've got to put that food in your body now because you feel ravenous. Your blood sugar, your glucose levels are probably a little low because we've built our bodies on sugar. So you're probably feeling a little fatigued, right? Yeah, you probably maybe getting a headache, get dry mouth, a little just sort of like, yep, all those things. Yep, okay, yep. So what happens when you eat? It goes away. When's it come back? A couple hours later. So what do you do?
When that hump is,
Yeah.
you're
So what do you do?
coming down.
You're gonna. I mean, we were explaining this is 101 shit for you. So you just fucking be quiet for a minute. So now you're gonna feed that fire again, and that fire is I'll call it a surface level fire. It's the last thing you put in. Well, what if you don't put anything in? It's got to go down that coal chamber, right, or out back, and it's got to get some energy. So what's your real goal here? Is it to keep doing the same fucking thing that got you where you are, what you're trying to undo? Or do you want to fucking try something new?
Yep.
I love you, baby. I hope you hear this with an open heart and open mind. Thank you for allowing me to use our beautiful conversation and our openness in my show. I really do appreciate it.
And we'll be back in a few weeks.
Yeah,
After Jeremy's on ground.
No, I'll just have to get a cushion for my ass after she fucking smacks it really hard. But anyway, yeah, yeah, man.
But I mean, it's easier said than done, right?
It is,
People tell
dude.
you what you can read what to do. People can tell you what to do. You can pay people to tell. You can pay people your own hard-earned money to tell you what to do with your own life. It's out there. Life coaches, fucking all kinds of things. Do
That's
it if you want,
billion-dollar
but
industry now.
you have to figure it out. Like so, and it starts with you. So I mean,
Yeah. You are the center of your own chaos, whatever that is.
Hey, you know what? I became the captain of my own fucking ship.
There you go.
Right? The ruler of my own
That should be a
universe.
shirt idea.
The whatever, dude. Whatever it is, you
Master
better
of your own
fucking
destiny.
own it.
Yeah, right.
If you don't own it, you ain't got shit, homie.
You're not a
Right.
real captain.
And
Then
then
you
be
went down with
accountable
the
when you
ship,
fuck up.
and then they're like, "Hey, he went down with the ship, and he's still where'd the ship go?" He's like, "Sank. I fucking sank it, ran it in the ground." He's like, "But I'm still here." They're like, "Cool. You want another ship? You want another one?
Yep.
Run another one.
Cool.
Hey, give this guy a new ship. Back in charge. He's a veteran.
Yeah, he knows
Ship
how to run
running
him
out.
right into the fucking ground.
Give him one. What happened? You got to try again.
Need a new
Cool.
crew, but
Got
yeah,
it again, But that's what they say.
That's
Captains go down with the
wonderful.
ship. There you go, man. I
Yeah.
get back up and try again. Like what's the worst that happened?
So let's what's the worst that can happen? Right? You hit that rock bottom, right? Okay.
Only after you lose everything,
Whatever.
you're free to do anything.
Fucking right, Tyler. That's right. So since we just got started here an hour and 20 minutes ago, Frank,
Yes.
there is a story. There is a past that got you here today. You are a different man than when Jordan and I met you 3-4 years ago, right? You're not different. You have a different outlook on life. you have
Definitely
a
a different
different
outlook.
presence about you. You have a different way of living. Can you tell us how you lived? You don't have to be explicit. These
Sure.
details are yours. Tell us how you lived. Tell us the lifestyle that you had baked into yourself and was given to you by your family. Tell us what made you who you were. And then please, at some point, and not limited by any amount of time, let us know when that point was that you said, I got to stop walking in the room full of assholes because I know I'm the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I was raised in a pretty religious household. My parents took in foster kids, so it was never just my biological sister and I. It was her and I, and then usually 8 other kids, and then mom and dad. So,
Right.
like, early on, felt kind of like scooted off to the side, and I really had to claw my way to attention, whatever that was, good or bad. You know what I mean? And
You had to fight
typically-
for it.
Typically, it was I was trying to get that positive attention, so I was doing above and beyond what I needed to do to be the ideal son. And early on, I started my own business, and that was successful. I brought in business partners. I had 2 or 3 different shops. Somewhere along the way, you get wrapped up into the business, the job, the role that you're doing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
at some point, you're on autopilot, and you realize, like, I was showing up to events after being told, like, you need to wear this, you need to have your hair like this, you need to make sure you wear, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't in charge anymore, and I continued to go on through life and, you know, going through the motions of life. But then I was very unhappy all the time, always depressed, always anxious. I'd had more than one failed marriage. You know what I mean? I had several.
Sure.
At early ages, like every time I thought I was doing something right, it came back to bite me in the ass because I wasn't going into it with the right intention.
No.
You know what I mean? I got married because I had sex.
Right.
Not necessarily the right intention. That failed quickly.
Yeah, you were the common denominator in every
Sure.
one of your relationships.
Exactly. That was the painful realization. You know what I mean? Because you have to admit it, and nobody else cares. They all know it already.
Right.
Everybody that looked at me and was close to me knew, well, he's fucking up because he's doing the same thing that he did last time. He's doing the same thing he did last time before that. But when you realize it yourself, you're like, fuck, this is where it all starts. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and my wife now and I had been dating, and I was going through a spell where I was really depressed. You know, not almost. I was suicidal.
Was this after you had realized your shortcomings and your character traits?
This is me coming into that realization.
Okay, so can I just add to this for people that a lot of people in a very probably small and subsect of our world do believe that when you sink into that depression, that you are in school, that if you do not learn something in that deep, dark, retrospective cave, that pain cave, if you don't bring something out of it, you're going to go back.
I agree. 100%, because
have
it had been a cycle of mine my whole life. I would preface a relationship with, oh, and by the way, I got terrible anxiety and depression.
Right.
Learn to deal with me when that happens.
Let me throw some fucking glass on the floor.
It's going to be miserable for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And as I look back at these conversations, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why did they even try to stick around? Why did I try to stick around?
Yeah.
So
probably because they thought they could fix you and that was their thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and we've all been on one side or the other of that scenario. Well, I had to learn I had to fix myself, and luckily I had a partner willing to allow me to do the work that I needed to do.
When did you come into,
This
did
is
this
about
partner?
2 years ago. This
Okay.
is when Nicole and I had probably been together for a year. And during that first year, you know, we did a lot of drugs together. We did a lot of drinking together, a lot of running around the country and partying
Sure.
hard. And, you know, just, you know, living the seemingly amazing rock star lifestyle. And it was, you know, for what that's worth.
Probably why your name preceded you.
Very possible. And see, here's the downside is I never know that people have any clue who I am.
Right.
No matter where I'm at. You know, I show up places, oh, I know you from. And then I'm just given this blank fluoride stare because I don't remember.
Right.
And, And, you know, it took a lot.
Yeah.
But that just, you know, I just brush that stuff off and not worry about it anymore. And then, you know, like, so what it came to was I was getting ready to go back on antidepressants. I was going to go back to the doctor.
Your
I'm like,
decision.
I'm going to get this fixed or I'm going to do something bad. Something bad's going to come of this. So, and to preface this a little further, going back to I grew up in a very religious household. Even though I had developed this cocaine habit, which I could justify because I was a rock star.
Yeah.
I didn't associate with people that smoked weed, you know. So
They were bad.
that was the gateway drug. I surpassed.
You
the
really
gateway
were a
drug.
dick.
Yeah. It was this crazy thing that I had learned along the way, and I had my own justifications as to why mine was okay and theirs was bad. But the reality came to, please, Frank, just try cannabis as a medication, not just because we're gonna get high, but
Yeah.
and I had to swallow a lot of pride, and I would only smoke the pens because they had a fruity flavor. I would only smoke at night so nobody could see me being high
Right.
on weed. And
Man.
after about a month of this, now it's settling into the reality that I have been lied to. And not only have I been lied to, I've taken that information and lied to thousands of other people about.
You perpetuated it.
Exactly.
Yep.
So by the way,
That's a lot of realization.
it is. It was heavy. It was heavy.
Yeah, it will send you
Because-
into a depression.
You know, I didn't end up getting depressed again. I mean, I had a couple little bouts since then, but somewhere along the way, I decided that I didn't trust the prescribed medications anymore, and this was actually working. I went and got a medical card in Illinois for it, and then that led me to seeking out more natural medications. So then I started microdosing mushrooms, and that was game changer for my overall mood and well-being.
What did it do for you?
Man, it allowed me to prioritize at its lowest common denominator, like the value of the importance that this heaviness or this depression or this sadness or this anxiety comes from. Like, what value does it really carry in the big picture? Like, when I leave this plane, this dimension, this life, is that thing going with me or is it not?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10,
It ain't going.
it ain't going.
Right.
So why am I giving it so much life and attention here now
Right.
when I could be just living life here now?
Right.
And that was the big change. So every day is just a new meditative practice of how am I going to make this the best day that I've had? And every day is better than the last. I rarely have bad days. Yesterday morning was probably the first time in a handful of weeks that before we get out of bed, my wife and I didn't say to each other, man, I just am grateful for you. I love you. I'm glad that this dog is laying here on my feet. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
these little actions of gratitude daily turn into a life
Yeah.
of gratitude always. And then I was like, well, it allowed me to kind of separate and understand we have an ego and we have a soul. You know, we are a spirit being inside of a human experience. And that was powerful.
Yeah, you think?
That allowed me to understand, okay, well, if I'm this and you're this and you're this, well, you know, collectively, this is it. This is the
all one big
universe.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
I took, you know, it changed my visual take on what God is in my life, because I was raised to believe he was an old man in the sky, big long beard, white hair. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
All the
But
pictures you see in like church.
old
and
wise
things.
fellow. Yeah.
Exactly.
Carrying
But
a lamb.
when
Yeah.
when you think, okay, well, we're made in God's image, but that image is just illumination. It's
Yeah.
just light. So
Yeah.
if you have light, you have. Well, that is what God is. It's like a big
Yeah.
net of light stretched across the universe, and each
Yeah.
one of us is one of those lights. Where
Particles,
that's
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
That's God is everywhere all the time
Absolutely.
by way of the, you know.
Right. So how can you be
Christian.
mad at your fellow God? How can you,
Exactly.
if you have compassion and you understand that they are you and they do the same exact cycles that you do, they fuck themselves every day. They praise themselves every day. They fall down, they learn, they go to mad at each other,
Right.
whatever it is that they do. We're all the same because we come from the same place.
Yeah.
And when you talk about are we related? Fuck, really? Are we related? Dude, do you
are the
understand how
same.
incestuous tribes were and people were for so long? Where did we all come from?
The same.
The same motherfucking place.
Yeah.
God damn, we ain't no different. It's like we used to say at Barrel, everyone's fucking everyone. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody different.
Right.
We're all the same. So that doesn't just mean, oh, well, I feel bad for them because they're impoverished. No, what that will eventually mean for everybody on this fucking planet is you feel their pain. And you have to help them because that kind of pain is not fucking allowed in heaven on earth.
Right.
It's not allowed. And I'm going to fucking make it go away because that's my job. Whether you want to call me a fucking quack or whatever, it's my job to help the guy next to me. So when he fucking dies, he's got a grin on his face. Because somebody somewhere fucking smacked him on the face and said, wake the fuck up.
Right.
Wake up and join the rest of us. And let's do this shit right. Because everybody around us that's telling us what to do, they've been lying.
Yeah, well,
Long time.
These realizations just it gave me a new perspective on an old quote. The quote is a verse, which is Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do.
Boom. Yeah.
But
just
you
wrote that in
look
my
at-
notepad the other
You
day.
look around the world as it is right now, and I choose to look at it more objectively. I understand, and it took me a lot of work to realize everybody came from a different past. Everybody, and I'm looking at my sister and we have totally different outlooks on every facet of life. But we came from the same household.
Yeah.
So that, and you take that and you span it across the entire planet. Obviously, we all have different backgrounds, but
Yeah.
when you come at the world with love, true, unconditional, unadulterated, just absolute love, you cannot fail in life. There is no failure in love. It doesn't exist there.
Nope.
You know?
That word's not allowed.
I think that this human experience is finding that balance of when your ego should be in charge, when your soul should be taking the lead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we all have conversations in our head, and now I'm a little bit more mindful of, is it speaking to, I need to go and do this, or is it speaking as, we need to go and do this? Because they're two different places that they come from in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
You're not overthinking it. If it you're drawn to it and it's pulling you to do it, go.
Yeah.
That's the soul versus like you think about all this. No, I think I should just go do it.
Yeah.
Then do it.
That's the same thing I'm figuring out with parenting. At least with teenagers, the more I press and try, the worse things get.
Yeah.
I've got to realize listening is learning,
Yeah.
and that's winning.
Yeah.
And
doing is teaching.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking it in,
but you can't understand what you need to do, and I'll just speak as a father,
Yeah.
unless you listen and get taught a lesson by those teachers that are your children.
yeah.
They're showing you, Mom, Dad, these are the things I need. These are the things I want. These things make me happy. Are you paying attention?
Mm-hmm.
Were you aware? Or did you just go, here's my bucket of what I want you to do. Yay, let's go fucking play baseball now. And Dad's going to fucking coach. And no offense to anybody, I was a fucking football coach. I was caught up in that matrix too.
Right.
But it's just another matrix. It's just another escape or distraction from the fact that you're a fucking cocksucker and you need to deal with your shit.
Absolutely.
I was too. I was a fucking cocksucker. I still am, probably most times than not.
But at least you acknowledge, you're aware of it. You brought
Fuck.
awareness to your
Because
cocksuckery.
consciousness, most people don't know. They don't
Yes.
realize that they're like, I'm kind of mindlessly going through life. They
Right.
don't realize that.
And that's-
that they're victims of society. Like I say, because like you just follow along and you don't realize it. Like it's sad. Like you don't realize that the algorithms and the news and all these things that you do, and you go to work with the same people who fucking stand around in the factory and they complain. And they do the exact same thing, and then like so you have this fucking perpetual cycle, and you're a victim of it. And I'm not saying like you maybe have some blame, but you can also. It's tough. Like you can get out, you can't, but like you got to break it. 'Cause
Victims
if you stay in
attract victims.
Yeah.
And when victims
And just
attract
more
more
and more and more.
victims, all of a sudden what they're doing makes them feel good. It's very easy. It's their habit.
But
it's
on-
their sewing circle or their book club. They are hating everything and they're justifying each other and praising each other. So they do get positive reinforcement
For
for
negative
a
action.
very negative action.
However, steel sharpens steel. So if we get more groups of guys that are trying to be better, sitting in
Yeah, right.
rooms
Yeah.
Like this.
and we take
Yes.
this out and
Yes.
we cascade around our friend groups and bring this attention and awareness to them.
Yes.
Let them take that home and ponder on it for a while.
Yeah.
That's how we plant the seeds that we're not going to see the fruit from.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm okay with that.
Or maybe we will.
Possibly.
Because I guarantee it. I've had moments where I know I swear to God, I have had a full blown conversation with each of my dead grandfathers in meditation. Mm-hmm. I will say that my meditations have often gone to very insane places. I got to meet my dragons. Mm-hmm. Fuck, I named them. I got 3 of them. I ain't gonna share their fucking names here because that's my fucking business.
Sure.
But I talked to myself at 5 years old. And my 5-year-old self told me, and I've shared it here before, everything's cool now, man.
Yeah.
And that shit,
I mean,
there are other things around us that you can't hear.
Oh.
There are frequencies you can't hear. There are things you can't see. So why can't there be other things in that ether or in that space that we are not privy to?
I don't think the metaphysical world is that far removed from us. I think we're within it, and we're just not.
You know that atmosphere we got?
Disconnected
Yeah.
from it.
I think that atmosphere has a lot to do with
Sure.
sort of like, here's your protective bubble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, in the most simple form of the word, if you think that it was gifted to us,
Right.
and somebody at one point is going to be like, hey, dude, I gave you that thing, and it was shiny and nice, and now look at what you did to it.
Yeah.
But here's the cool thing. Here's, what I said earlier. The greatest thing about everything? We get to do it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And do you know why my wife and I have been together or married for 26 fucking years? You know why? Because we hated each other, and we figured out that we didn't really hate each other. We hated the way we were making each other feel,
Right.
which was a cycle.
Yeah.
Again,
Change
it was
that
another
and you
cycle.
changed the whole everything.
So when the first time that I tried to make that change and she didn't respond, I got angry. And I lashed out and I fell back into my cycle. But eventually I said, if I don't react in that manner, she won't either. Eventually. Eventually.
You're right.
And so then one day she comes to me and she says, I don't know why anybody would want to live like that. And what she was referring to was her actions just the day before. Can you imagine the woman that you've loved and you've been yearning for fucking a long time to see that compassion get fucking yanked back out that you knew she was born with, but was so covered up from years of slop and fucking muck and whatever from mom and dad and whatever from Jeremy over the years and my issues that I always put first, my PTSD, my fucking friends I lost. God damn, to see that person come out from behind that fucking wall and go, hey, how you doing over there? It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
That's how you do it for so long.
It's really reminiscent. I don't know if you guys probably remember the movie Hook.
Yeah,
man,
dude,
Hook's-
of course.
Man, when that little kid pushes Robin Williams' face back and says, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You have to go back to your
it's
childhood.
like a reawakening.
And
yes.
like reprogram. You have to go back and remember what it was that made you happy before you were programmed. What, was it jumping down a flight of stairs and landing real hard,
Dude, I had that realization just weeks ago, Frank.
Yeah, I've been meditating on this for a while, and I really feel like we got to get back to that childlike mind, not putting aside our masculinity and our adulthood, but really just getting back to
what
the
brings you
basics
joy
of
in
life.
life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do things that bring you joy.
And not like, and by that, we don't mean like we all like going bellying up to the bar and having a drink or a smoke or whatever. But no. On a very much more childish level, drawing,
Yeah.
painting, a puppy dog,
Listening to
Being-
music.
just
throwing a
being
baseball,
silly for the sake of being silly. You
Writing
what
a joke,
moving,
yeah.
Moving your body in a way that you normally do it because you were told as
Yes.
a kid, stop doing that. When
That's
you quit doing that in
embarrassing.
public,
Who are you embarrassing?
That's where it starts,
That's why I forced my family to moonwalk everywhere. Yeah, we all moonwalk through the house. It took a while, but it finally caught
all
on.
learned it.
Yeah, it drove the dogs crazy.
And they're not good at it.
They're not good at all. We're moonwalking. They're dragging their asses along the other way. It's quite a scene. It's like a dream state, Yeah, man. But anyway,
But like you said, every day we get the opportunity to do it again.
That's the most
It's
beautiful thing.
exciting. And if I don't get the opportunity tomorrow, man, these last few years have been amazing, and that's what I want people to remember.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Not
totally-
remorseful. You're not angry about it. You're like, cool, man. I had a pretty good last.
And
This
yeah.
last run was pretty good. A book has a lot of chapters. Some books have too many chapters.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll write too many. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I want to write 96 chapters of my life. Maybe we'll see when we fucking get there. If
Right.
there's still more story to tell, it's like, okay, well, we'll keep going. But so far, like the last few, pretty cool with those. It's been pretty good. The last 10, 15 years, raised 2 kids, are 11 and 13. I'm 10 plus years in a marriage with a happy wife. So far, no complaints. I've done all right, I think. But yeah, if it ends tomorrow, cool. I gave it my best, man. I ain't even mad.
Right.
And that's a whole new,
And
I
that's
think,
what it comes
level
down
that
to.
people find. Once you find that, I feel pretty free even saying that. Cool, man. If
Well,
you
yeah.
go out, you go out.
You
I
have
think
to.
people will laugh, tell a few good stories, keep a few stories they probably shouldn't tell. And, then you'll be remembered, and that's how it is.
It's like an old warrior saying that every great warrior knew that death was just knocking on their door, but you don't know if the next day in the battle you're going to die or you're going to live. You just went out and did your thing. That I will wake up, do the best I'm going to do. I will go out and do what I'm trained to do. If I come back, I come back, and I will be blessed and all that. It's like an old samurai saying, they knew that it was coming. They don't know when, but the whole point was to live each moment, make the most of it. If the chapter ends tomorrow, the end, great. If it doesn't,
Right.
yeah.
easier said than done. But
Every great samurai dies, but the great ones probably lived to have many battles and lots of good stories and did a lot of things in that progress. From some of them weren't very good, and they killed like the second day. Like he took the sword right through it.
And who wants
Some
to
people
hear
are like,
stories about like no depth or no challenge, right? You
peaks
need
and
the up
valleys.
and down.
The peaks and valleys of life are what carve.
You gotta have the perspective. If you haven't lived to understand the other side of whatever you're going through, you feel like it's the worst case scenario or the best case scenario.
Absolutely, man.
You don't have perspective. I feel like maybe it's our age that we've got perspective. We have done things and lived on both sides of that fence at this point in our lives.
Yeah.
I can speak for myself.
Every hill has to have a downside, right? So like once you finally hit sort of a peak, if you will, upon many let me turn this around. Upon many false summits, even, you're going to get better. You're going to learn more. You're going to realize that I'm not at the top yet. I've got some more work to do. That's a false summit. I thought I was there. I fell back into the matrix for a week. Okay, I'm obviously not there yet. But that's all a part of that, right? That's all. That is the love. That is the game. That is the... I woke up and decided to take the blue pill today instead of the red pill.
Right.
In its most fucking simplistic form. Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
So anyway, ramble a little bit there. I'm sorry, but
yeah, and we just get the choice every day. How am I gonna live this one out? You know, but you start setting new habits. That's the whole key. I mean, you probably have workout regimens that are out of this, and it's part of your habit, isn't it? Like, it's not like you're gonna go make extra time for it because it's what you do. You know, and
yeah,
you know, we all
same
have
24
that
hours.
thing.
Yeah, we got our days. How we
I
spend them
used
is up to
to
us.
wake up like at 3 a.m. just to work out before my day got done because I know by the time I finally got home, my energy would be so low, the effort and intent, as we talked about, would not be there. Right. And I had some days where I had to make that happen, but it's like, okay, it sucked to wake up at that time of the day, you know, and your days go until 9, 10 o'clock at night. But it's like, at least I know I accomplished that one thing. And it's as many people have stated, like when you wake up, your feet hit the floor, have that gratitude, but you start your day with something that is so small and simple to accomplish. Many, one Navy SEAL rule, make your bed. Well, you can't really do that at 3 a.m. when there's somebody else on the other side. You know, so it's one of those things of those small little tasks just become natural. Like today, worked out before coming over here. It's just not a thought process. It's just, cool, I got to work out.
Internal motivation. It's not. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
Like you say,
And we're creatures of habit, so you start creating good habits, and you start presenting those to the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have no problem presenting our bad habits any day of the week.
Right.
So
most people like this. Yeah, and well, you're right. We present them, but we don't. But everybody only talks about their wins, the greatest things ever. Nobody ever talks about like, hey man, I have had multiple like failed business projects, different relationships, all kinds of things that people do. You know, you're not a very good friend. You haven't been a great husband at times. You've done all these things, but it's understanding that and moving from that. That's where you can really grow and find some perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you don't admit that wrongdoing and you're always right.
Yeah, everybody just talks about it, and then you get that like, man, nobody else screws up, and it's like, yeah, they do. Like Frank said, he's like, man, I opened up this sport, and it was like, it wasn't great. Like I wasn't very good at the time. And it's like, but most people don't. Most people think they were just great all the time. And like, we always just talk about that. And it's like, oh, you screwed shit up too? Damn, man, I didn't realize that. That's good to know because
people
I screw stuff up too. But most people don't like to show that because it makes them vulnerable and weak. That's not weak. It's how you grow.
That's where those experiences become valuable to somebody else. When you can share your failures and still be in a successful position in their eyes in the current state.
You're teaching someone something.
You're teaching somebody, you know, to put a little more faith in themselves.
Yeah. That's what most people do. They just need to believe in themselves.
I would much rather see my legacy be that I instilled in other people that they can be more than what they have allowed themselves to be.
Yeah.
That's more important to me than how many businesses I've owned or how many shops I've been allowed to work in my career or who I've worked with. Those things are all cool, but they ain't going to go with me.
Right. Yeah, you're just you. And all the impact you made on people is a lot bigger than like that. It's the experience and the memory they had in your shop, in your chair, not the name of the shop or the street it was on or the logo or like, wait, nobody... no, but it was this one time that I was at this place.
Yep.
We did this. That it all has to be together. It wasn't just this or that.
It all makes the feeling.
Yeah. Once you have all of that though, then you kind of got it.
Yeah,
You know, like, hey,
that's a win.
That's what people remember, the good parts about that. Like, hell yeah, man, wise beyond your years. I think that's what people want to be, right? And I think, I just try to be that. I'm like, man, if you can pick up lessons that somebody else has fucked up before me, cool. Like,
Yeah,
Jerry,
save yourself the
cool.
hassle.
Somebody's done it before. I'm like, damn, dude. I have a good amount of friends who are older than me, and I'm like, oh man, like when I was 23, I had kids, and I got out of college, and we had babies at 2 months after, and like just got grown up real quick. Yeah. And I saw a lot of other people do it, and I'm like, damn. So that's what you were doing it. Fuck, I'm pretty far ahead then, I guess. Like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Like, nice perspective. And it's
You got to be
not
proud
that
of yourself.
You're putting yourself in, like, benchmarking people or anything. It's just, like, you don't know until you, but it's like, oh, and I'm like, man, I did that, and that's fucked up. You shouldn't do that. And it's like, okay. And it's like, and that's what led you to that, oh, yeah, where you went bankrupt. Okay, yeah, he's probably right. He told me I shouldn't make this decision.
Yep.
And he said he'd been here before, and, like,
Yeah.
they have. Like, they're telling you because they're telling you like to help you. So like learn. Some people are like, he doesn't know shit. That's why I failed. And it's like, hey, no, but that's why you're gonna fail because you fucking can't hear anything.
Yeah.
If you don't hear what other people tell you.
That's dude. You know what, man? When I turned the keys off to Beryl, I had a long conversation with myself, and I mean over a year. But the final few months and weeks and days to where I really came out and I said, hey, I think this is what I'm gonna do. It was the most gratifying and satisfying end to anything I've ever done because I did it with a clear heart, clear eyes. My heart was completely focused. My eyes were full of love. And I said, this has given me so much. It can't give me any more than what it's already given me because the money was never it. It never made me money because I didn't manage the money correctly. So it went back into product at the wrong time or it went to the wrong kind of marketing or I was learning. But I did it. Mm-hmm. And I fuck it. If I could pat myself on the back with every fucking hand that I came across, I would. Because it would remind me every day. It would be a positive reaffirmation that, you know what? Not only did you do something, but you didn't let any motherfuckers tell you how to do it. And you didn't ever let somebody tell you to shut it down or do this with it or do that with it. You did exactly what it allowed it to do. You didn't force it. There were times I tried to force things, and people like Jordan would be like, no.
Right? I was like, that's not going to work.
Come over here. You got to fucking corral the sheep sometimes, and he's definitely been there for me and done that. So, but we did it, and it was so much fucking fun. Mm-hmm. And Frank, we would have never met each other.
I know.
We would have never known each other existed. Maybe outside of social media, but doubtful. But because of Beryl, Jeff, because of Beryl, Frank, because of Beryl, Jordan, because of Beryl, so much, right? Mm-hmm. I'm so thankful. But like you were saying, dude, if you don't go out and say, this is what I'm going to do because of X, Y, and Z, you have no pedestal to stand behind to tell anybody else how to fucking do anything because you haven't done it.
Right.
We had the same conversation, I think, last week or the week before. Yeah, if somebody came and said, hey, who here has been a vegetarian or a vegan, or it was vegetarian, I would, if anybody else, leave the room because this is only a conversation for people that know from experience what it's like to be vegetarian. I would stay. Right. If somebody said, what's it like to lose your father? I got that. If you want to talk about what it's like to raise a teenage kid, check. I mean, we've all got them, right? We've all got them. And we should be so proud of what we have to offer. The problem is I don't know too many motherfuckers like us that are willing to share their good stories with us because they're too afraid to share the bad ones.
Well, they haven't come to the realization that everybody is going through the same shit.
Yeah. Right. Like, hey, you want to see behind the curtain?
The next guy.
It looks just like your house.
Yeah, they compartmentalize it. I mean, I've got a couple of friends that now that like have their own business, they realize like, oh, from being just because my business digital and like having it doesn't matter marketing, like, oh, they've got construction and they'll talk and they're like, oh, I got it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it, man. And like we'll talk. And I'm like, here's some and they're like, dude, thanks. Like, and it's I'm not giving you advice per se. It's like we're just bouncing ideas off each other. But they're like, man, what do you think? And I'm like, yeah, well, have you thought about this? Like, what seems to make more? And they're like, that's good, thank you. And like, but they have to share and be like, hey, I got a thing. I'm like, cool, man, fucking, I like to hear it. That's like I feel like business consulting. That's why I do it, to solving people's problems. Cool, you got a problem? Fuck, tell me, man. Let's see if we can help you. And if not, like, maybe we'll just go to the bar, like Jeremy said, and we'll try and figure it out there. We'll figure it out
Figure
fucking
it out.
tomorrow, okay?
Figure it out.
But we'll continue to work towards it. But we have to start. So if you just sit there and act like everything's fucking great and that you're like a millionaire in life and in joy and everything, like, cool. But if you're not, then maybe start admitting it and be like, cool, hey, maybe you could help me. Like, some people are like, yeah, like, can you help me? Because some people are like, damn, that's a really cool, like, they were doing this. And I'm like, that, I just want to use that in my life.
Yeah.
That's a beneficial thing for me.
It's a tool you can put in your belt.
Like, it doesn't exactly fit in your tool belt. And I'm like, cool, I'm gonna put a new little loop on my tool belt though.
Yeah.
Put that one in there because it's pretty cool. Most people aren't going to use that. You know, I'm like, because everyone else is in their whole little bubble over here and like, we do the same thing. We all do the same thing. We're all the same people. And it's like, oh, but I got my buddy. He's like, he does this. And like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with this. And it's like, of course it doesn't. But if you apply it with new perspective, maybe it has everything to do with this. And now you have a whole new way you look at things. And
You want to talk a new way of looking things? Dude, you couldn't have timed that perfect. So I had to go to a VA appointment, and I was going to be a pretty good walk, right? I mean, I didn't mind walking, but after a while, my back, the nerves start to bind up, and I start to lose my left leg a little bit, right? I said, wait a minute. And ain't no scooters around to rent. We ain't in that kind of town, right? We're not near that. And I said, wait, I keep a skateboard in my trunk. And I told myself, I have a skateboard in my trunk for these moments when I don't really want or can walk that far. I'll just roll on my board instead. I was like, holy fuck, I have a tool that has otherwise gone completely unfucking used. And I guarantee somebody, if not most people, would be like, fucking weird dude riding on a skateboard. I'd be the only motherfucker using a tool to get there. And there's dudes 90 years old looking at me.
Intended purpose.
yeah,
Or
exactly
it's-
right. A transportation vehicle.
But now I'm the weird motherfucker. And they're like, oh, he's obviously here for mental health.
we talked about that. I remember people walking down the road. You always see people walking down the road. People generally like, where's he going? What's he doing? It's like, maybe he's just walking to get there. Like, he's not a drug addict. He didn't steal anything.
Right.
He's a normal person.
Oh, poor guy
walking
must have
down
lost
the
his
road.
car.
Right? Yeah, like,
My
must be
wife
broke down
every
somewhere.
day
Like,
is her morning meditation. She'll like sometimes talk to her dad, but she will walk, and that is her meditation time before she works out. And I'm sure the neighbors, because I usually just stick in the neighborhood, because if something happens, I'm real close by. I can dart back home.
right.
And where I'm at too, eventually you hit hills, and it's just like, well, that's just a bitch. You got to start running and doing all hills and stuff. So it's like, okay, that's no big deal. But yeah, people don't realize everyone's going A to B to C, one type thing. But you just look at it like, that's weird.
Right, yeah. That's weird. Where are they going on the side of
like-
the road like that? Because I remember we'd looked and it was like, it was hot, and it was like this guy, and it's like, dude, he's maybe just walking for fun. Maybe he has somewhere to, like, there's literally 1,000 reasons that aren't strange. But why does the first, because it was just like a conscious thing. It's like, why is the first thing people always think of is like, look at that guy walking. Who would do that?
Or hey,
walk
what
somewhere.
what about this? Hey, I think I might pick that guy up. Having been a child that was walking with his mom on the side of a freeway, I've been picked up multiple times by hitchhikers. Fantastic. Thank you very much for saving us, right? But now we go and it's like everybody else in the car is like,
Right. And then the people too are like, I don't know if I should get in your car. And it's like, I'd ask if you wanted to ride. I will drive you where you're going.
Right,
And if you
you're-
wanted to walk, that's cool. But if you
Yeah.
needed a ride somewhere, and then it's like, well, I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm like,
well,
okay.
you can't. Here's the thing: both people have the same exact fears.
Yeah.
You're just you're mirroring each other. You're completing each other at that moment. One person is saying, "I don't know if I should." The other one's going, "I don't know if I should."
just perpetuating
How
each
do
other's fears
how
to
do
be
we
bigger and bigger
how do
than
we
what they need to be.
fit this to where it goes, and we're good. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. But you got to do that with every single interaction,
Yeah.
and it's exhausting. And there's times where me, like, I'll just say it. I believe that I am a little more empathetic than a lot of people, and I've been given the label of an empath before, whatever that may mean. But when I tell you that you really feel that shit and you wear it like it's yours, man, I'm not kidding. Maybe some of you guys have experienced that.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like you said earlier, you can walk into a room and you can change the dynamic in the room with your energy. And that shit isn't fucking made up.
Right.
I remember when I carried so much influence, for what that, take it for what that's worth, amongst my peers and my group, that when I walked into the room, if there were 10 people there were probably 10 people that were going to stop me and want me to talk. And I don't say this out of narcissism. I say it because I became aware of it.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, this brand is not about the product. It's about me.
Yeah.
I have made every single bit of this about me. These people are here to fucking talk to me. Oh my God, what have I done? You know what I did? I got exactly what I wanted. As a child, I thought I was never fucking heard. All I wanted was to be fucking heard. So now look at me.
Yeah. I mean, I fall in the same line. Like I said, I had to be the best at everything that I did so I could rise to the top of the class and be noticed.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't seeing that as often
Right.
at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And that carried on into my adult life and different things. You know, I did martial arts for years and years, and I taught for about 17 years. And then, so I was always at the front of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's where
You're the
that's
leader.
where I
You're
was
the
able
leader.
To, that's where I was able to peak, you know.
Yep.
And then I'd go back home and then settle back in, you know, down on the rung of how many people needed things more so than I did. I was pretty well
Right.
I was taken care of, but
Right.
there were kids in the house that had real shit problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, not like my, you know, silly problems.
What'd you grow
Right,
up
yeah,
around,
first
man?
world
I mean,
problems.
can you say what you grew up around? Not names, but maybe
Oh,
conditions
it was
or
it was. I mean, a lot of the kids that came through, most had some type of sexual abuse. You know, a lot of low mental capacity kids that needed a lot of extra attention and care. You know,
Yeah.
my parents ended up adopting 3 siblings. And
Yeah.
they, you know, they're my family.
That's so amazing, though. I mean, no wonder you've got so much compassion built in, but also it's no wonder you had to package that and hide it away for so long because you probably had some resentment somewhere that these children were coming into your fucking home,
Sure.
eating your food, getting the shit that you want to get, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's really, there's a lot to that.
Yeah, and it gets. I mean, we could go on for days with the different dynamics of you know, hierarchies and family structures and how that plays out when you introduce people that aren't from that family structure.
Right.
And you know, it was off. Things about it were just off, and that's about it. But you know, you live through it and you come out on the other side, and then you make the best what you can with what you learned through it.
Yeah.
It shapes you.
Sometimes it
memories
just takes
are
us till we're
right.
40.
Yeah. Shapes you. That's what it's about.
You ever, sorry about that. We had an experiment today. We had the dogs in the studio. Well, that didn't work out. So we just alleviated the problem. What did I stumble into here? So you guys are talking about what now?
Just the dynamic of bringing in, like, growing up in a household that's constantly rotating different dynamics of kids and their
Right.
backgrounds into your safe zone. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And what that does to you over extended periods of time, and then learning to shed some of those old
Right.
ideas and.
But did you learn that as in your youth, or did you learn that
No,
more
it-
hindsight?
It wasn't more until I started really addressing, like, the little triggers that I dealt with that triggered me into either, you know, depression, anxiety, or whatever.
Right,
And those instances in my childhood definitely were defining click points, you know, that I can go back to and go, oh, okay, well, that I'm done with that now. I can
Yeah.
address it, you know, acknowledge my part of whatever that was and move on from it. I forgive everybody involved, and
Yeah.
and I can't live there anymore.
Right.
I'm done with that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like the 12-step program where you go, you know what? I think I need to take some time and reflect and think about who I may have upset and who maybe I'm mad at for really silly shit.
Yeah.
Let me write this shit down and let me start knocking these things off one at a time.
I haven't been through a 12-step program, but I have realized that as I've been coming out of, you know, being somebody who was an addict and a drinker, a lot of my personal steps that I've taken fall in line with those actions of a 12-step program, you know.
Totally.
And I've heard that the guys who wrote the 12-step program did it while on acid. So it makes perfect sense to me.
Well, it does because it breeds so much compassion and kindness and like it's really weird how, and I won't say LSD because LSD is not exactly derived from plants.
Right.
It's manipulated. But if you look at mushrooms or DMT or ayahuasca or peyote or whatever, it's a plant or an animal, and all it knows is what it's perfect at, right? I don't know that animals have that fear and shame and all that. They're just like, I don't want to get eaten. I got to eat. Fucking go.
I mean, do we know fear and shame until it's programmed into us?
Right.
That's
No,
what
you
I'm.
learn
That's
it.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
dude. There is a learning here that we've done to ourselves.
Sure.
Right. We've learned it good.
Yeah.
Real good,
I petition we'd go to unlearn it
Right.
collectively.
bro.
Yeah.
I want to get hit in the head with a fucking 2x4 about once a month.
Yep.
Just somebody come in and be like, "Hey, you ready?" I'm like, "Line it up, fucking knock that bullshit right off of me."
Yeah.
In fact, here's what I want to do. I want to make this. I'm going to go on record here, so I think that makes it legal and legit. It's mine now, right? You know those old. You remember the old? Forgive me. I grew up on a farm partially. The old corn cob, in a like a. It was in a shadow box, and it was like a piece of toilet paper.
Or something, wasn't it?
Well, it was like there were different versions, but it was like you would hit it with a little hammer in case of emergency to get toilet paper out, or it was like squirrel feed or like whatever. But what if you had a hammer inside, or a hammer inside and then like a hammer outside, or I don't know what. That couldn't be how it works. But you had a hammer inside. On the outside, it says something like break in case of emergency ego explosion or something. You know what I mean? You got to chip away at the motherfucker. Because there are times where, you're talking with somebody that is not really in the moment. They're fucking going on about the past or the future or left or right. They're not talking about where you are. And you can see sometimes like a little shimmer of light in them, like it cracks, like you did crack a shell. And you're like, oh, I saw it. I could feel it. I could feel your energy shift. I could see your body language change just for a moment. You weren't defensive. You weren't ready to fight. You were open. You were radiating light. You were open-minded.
Right.
Just for a moment. And then it's gone.
It looks beautiful, though, doesn't
It's
it?
so fucking beautiful, man. And when you can find that, like with your significant other, where you can lay in bed and look at each other and you make that connection where you're both aware in the moment, that is some seriously jarring emotion.
Yeah, that is the human experience. You know what I mean?
It
That's
will
what we should
send
be looking
chills down through your toenails. For real. It'll make you fucking realize there's a lot going on that I'm not taking advantage of.
for. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find the clarity.
Find it.
That's, I mean, that's probably a full circle conversation there, right?
Right.
I'd say so, yeah.
About being aware and just go and look, try and find clarity. There's a lot of things that will distract you and blur
It's
things.
not even
and
that you have to go look for it. You just
Right,
have
just
to
be
open
conscious,
your eyes
yeah,
to
right.
be,
Stop looking past
it's
it.
more like
there.
look inward rather than looking out and abroad
Yeah.
so much. It's,
Yeah.
it's all inside of you. Your whole life starts with your thought. Your mind is going to dictate everything.
Mind's a
from that
powerful
point.
thing. I think people forget how powerful it really is.
Sure.
Yeah, Ministry said it was a terrible thing to taste, I believe. Right? Didn't they? That's a fantastic album. Oh, sorry, just lighten it up there a bit. Yeah, man, it is. It's amazing the capacity that we have. Everybody says just how much brain we don't use. I think that's bullshit.
I'm not buying into it.
I think that
I've talked to my
Yeah, I
wife
think there's a
about
lot
this
more.
often.
Right, yeah.
yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. I think what it is that somehow we have systematically been, intentionally or not, I don't know. We did it to ourselves. I don't know. I'm not going to go off on a fucking tangent about conspiracies. I don't know. But what I imagine is that somehow, somewhere, we have been conditioned to only have very, very basic needs. Once those basic needs were met and we had free will, man, you just let the fucking inmates out of the asylum.
Yeah, it's
in your
it's
brain.
mutated a lot.
And what I mean is, metaphorically, in your brain, you've let the asylum go crazy. You've let the inmates run. Because what you're doing is you're allowing all of these thoughts to ruminate, and they grow, and they turn into reality. And then next thing you know, you've got a fucking frown. Next thing you know, you're angry. Next thing you know, you want to fucking punch somebody. Next thing you know, you're in your car and you're fucking road raging.
Mm-hmm.
All because you
an
made
idea.
some shit up in your head.
It all starts and ends with an
Manifestation.
idea.
Wow. It's so powerful.
But you can use it on the other side of the spectrum too and manifest that positive, happy,
Yes.
joyful,
Every day.
peaceful
Yes.
life. You know
I mean,
what I mean?
sometimes screw up. Just try again tomorrow.
But if
Yeah.
you meet
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
if
you
you
have
meet dark with
24
light,
hours in a day, you have that many opportunities with 60 minutes in every one of those
Right.
hours and 60 seconds. You have every opportunity in your life to turn it around right now. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You can,
yeah,
but you're just putting it off the inevitable.
Yeah,
You
man.
got to
Yeah.
start over.
Yeah. No, I agree.
totally, dude. Yeah, it's like it goes back to the saying I said earlier. The best thing about everything, which sounds so silly, is that you get to do it all again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so if you really, really get off on making people miserable, cool, man.
Yeah,
you get to do it again tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you've also got to be okay when some motherfucker stops being okay with you acting that way. That's when your change is going to start, because you're going to get a couple people in a row that are like, hey, man, you're a dick and this is why you're a dick. Or, hey, you're a pussy and I'm going to walk on you because you're being a pussy. And so guess what? If you get walked on for long enough, you're going to feel like one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're going to start to identify as that. Probably much like I used to be identified by and with my beard, maybe my fucking jeans, my boots, whatever somebody gave me. I'd wear them, I'd pimp them. Cool, whatever. My dog. That's what I became.
Yep.
You became little Frank Oakwood.
Yeah.
You became a version of yourself
An
that you
idea.
allowed people to see.
Yeah.
This is what you get to see. But what we also don't realize we're doing when we do that is we're saying, I'm not going to let the real me out.
Right.
Whew. And when you realize that all you've been letting out is what other people want to see, that's when you realize that you have been limiting your human
You've
ability.
been going through autopilot.
Yeah, brother.
You're not doing your full. Your
You
full
just missed the
potential of
last
life.
20 miles.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Where am I?
Yep.
What the fuck just happened? Why are all these people mad at me? Why am I mad at everybody else? What the fuck? Where am I? It'll happen to you.
Oh yeah.
All it's going to take is a few turns in a row of that gear going the wrong way, and you're going to be like, oh, those fucking dudes on that show were right. What the fuck have I been doing? Fuck yeah, man. Whew. Dude, we have talked about a lot of shit today.
We got through a lot of topics today.
I'm going to throw this out there, and I'm just going to say that today has been so much fun. I think that we would love to have you back in another show, another time.
I'd love to come back.
And I hate to say we're going to end this, but man, I don't, I want to save some for next time.
Right? You got to
I feel
unpack
good
some
about
of it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, we've talked about a lot today, and I'm not going to rehash it all, but I'll be damned if you couldn't pull something out of today that was pretty useful. I think today is probably the most perfect embodiment of what Jeff and I set out to do.
Yeah. I'd say
That's
so.
awesome.
Yeah.
This is episode
60.
60.
Yeah.
Dang.
I
60.
took a notebook to the bar and told
That's
them,
great.
gave them some tips. I'm like, if you guys really want to do this, here's some fucking tips.
He
And they're
did.
Like,
I remember
okay.
sitting there and
I'm like,
writing
but the
and
biggest
sketching.
thing really was like, just do it. So just fucking go and just start.
Just
And then
started
now
with
they
an
had
idea,
60, and
and
it's
here
like,
we
wow,
are.
look, and do it for the right reasons. Do it because you want to.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, I'm like, I'm not sure it's gonna sell like products, dude. I'm not.
Right. Yeah. That wasn't the
It's like,
purpose.
No, I don't want to. I just want to. I'm like, okay, then if that's your intention, 100% do it.
Yeah.
If that's you will find success, and you so far have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not judging anything by viewership yet because we haven't even put ourselves out there. We have been sharpening the steel.
Yeah.
We have really been trying to hone that edge and say, you know what? Where's our flow? Where do we fit into the big world of a lot of shit that's already out there? How do we shine? How do we get people just to go, oh, those motherfuckers are just like me. We really are just like each other.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're like, oh shit, that old listener started a show. Cool.
Yep.
There we go. There we go. Now we're talking. Now maybe you learn how to monetize something from your basement. Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it could be a butterfly
You
effect.
find a new way of freedom that you didn't know you could find before because you
Very
now,
true.
and most people are like, oh, I don't think I could do that.
But you took a
Good,
chance. You
just
took a
try.
chance.
Fuck, you can do it.
Yeah.
I promise.
Very true.
Every single person can do it.
Yeah.
I promise. You can quote me on that.
Yeah.
You can do it. So just try.
Yeah, I've heard people have conversations every single day.
Yeah.
Just
No
in
kidding.
regular talking.
Yeah, man.
So you can bring it down to some microphones and really put some,
Yeah.
some
Absolutely,
stuff together. This
dude.
is great.
Yeah, I mean, if we were just sitting in a restaurant having this conversation, I would sure hate to think that it wasn't captured somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's just too much good shit.
Yeah.
Not tooting our horns,
We
but I
got
mean,
some pretty good experience in one room.
I think so, man. And I think we got 4 people that really do want to see the person next to them get better.
Succeed. I want
Yeah.
to see
Get
everyone
better.
succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
This-
what it
this-
should be about.
This COVID thing, and it's shining a light on illness, but maybe we need to shine a bigger light on what the bigger illness is.
Let's just
Right.
shine a light on wellness.
Yeah,
Just
man.
be
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
There you
plenty
go.
of illness out there.
Yeah.
That's
Not-
right.
Not enough
But-
people want to be well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I guess what I was trying to convey was more like just get the people to realize that they were sick.
Yeah.
That's it. Just like, hey, man, I'm not saying you're sick like you're bad. You're not broken. You're just using the wrong software right now.
Yeah. I mean,
There's upgrades.
There's an
You
upgrade, bro.
There's some. I mean, we shared some. Even it's like there's some really cool ass upgrades out there.
Yeah.
Go look, and you'd be like, well, I don't know. Maybe it'll help your life. Like fucking people, you know, they're not hacks. They're just things you can incorporate. There's no hacks to life. You have to live it. So just either do it or don't. And if you can get some tools and tips along the way, use them or throw them on the side of the. Don't take them away with you. If it doesn't work, throw it away.
Man,
Leave it for somebody else.
These bodies are made perfectly. We just have to learn how to use them. And we haven't learned well.
Hey, man, you know, my mom taught me, albeit a little later in life, because we had, you know, I had my reservations about that relationship for a long time. Like we talked about earlier, Frank, lived all over the world and resented it until I didn't. Until I realized that, oh my God, I had a wonderful fucking life. I got to see and be at a lot of places and hang out with really cool people that
Made
a
it
lot
this
of
far.
kids.
Think about everybody that
Right.
didn't make it this far.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So
A lot of people have
that's
it.
some real, like, there's a lot of people we all know and love, care very deeply about.
Yeah.
Did
But-
not make it to this point.
Yeah,
So
very true.
Yeah,
It's true.
absolutely, man. If you just keep that compassion, keep that perspective, and remember that the greatest thing about everything is that you get to do it all again.
Yep. Keep pushing.
I love it.
Absolutely.
That's right. Cool. Hey, until next time, Frank, we're gonna have you back. We'll share some more of your stories. I know you got a plethora. I
Well,
cannot.
I'll be making more every day.
I know you
Yeah.
will be. I know you will be. And I know you're not going to take off right now, but safe travels to you when you do get back
Thank
on
you.
the
I
road.
appreciate it.
And we look forward to hearing more about what you're doing with your future, and we'll be sure to share the love, man.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, guys. Everybody
Thank
else
you,
good?
guys. I appreciate
I'm
it.
good.
All right. Thank you. Peace, y'all. See ya.
Peace.